Chapter 298. The most difficult restriction to break in the competition space at this time. Many sword masters from elite teams had already arrived at the periphery of the Black Forest, but they had all stopped and tried every means to enter. Hearing the sound of footsteps, Ji Xian and the others saw Lu Mu Yin and her party approaching. Lu Mu Yin, you've all come. Lu Mu Yin swept the woods in front of her with her gaze, then asked with a smile, "What's the situation ahead?" Yin Jun's handsome face revealed slight helplessness. "It's precisely what you see. We're trapped outside the mountain forest." Lu Mu Yin nodded, and her eyes fell on Mo Ling, who was holding an array compass outside the Black Land, investigating back and forth with several other people. Mo Ling and the others. What are they doing? Lu Mu Yin had a guess in her heart. Yin Jun replied, "They're breaking the restriction." "Is this a restriction here?" Sinan, who arrived later, just happened to hear Yin Jun's words and asked in surprise. According to Mo Ling and the other speculation, this is indeed the case. Yin Jun said, "Lu Mu Yin, you all sure are fast." Lu Oli walked up to her and smiled warmly. Lu Mu Yin smiled lightly and said, "We also just arrived. Young Miss Lu, what do you think of this place?" Mo Ling heard the several people talking and came over with his array compass. Lu Mu Yin looked at the Black Forest carefully. Then after a while, she said, "It's true that a restriction was arranged here by someone. As long as it can be broken, the poison in the woods that can corrode a sword master's shield will dissipate." Isn't that obvious? Mo Ling and the others already realized it was a restriction. What's the difference between you saying it and not? Although the Crown Prince of Nanchuan was afraid of Lu Mu Yin, but now, with so many people, he wasn't so afraid, pretentious. The most important thing was that aside from the semi-finals, where one could kill others to contend for Identity Jade tablets, other parties weren't allowed to kill each other during other times, and they would be disqualified immediately once they're discovered. Lu Mu Yin naturally knew this, so she didn't bother to pay attention to such boring people that sought for trouble. "Fool!" She spit out the word lightly, then went straight to the junction of black soil and brown soil, past the others, and squatted down to check. "Don't talk if you don't know how to speak." Mo Ling gave the Crown Prince of Nanchuan a cold look. "Lu Mu Yin may be the key to breaking the restriction for us. If you speak anymore, then leave now." Not only did he want to sit idly and enjoy the fruits of others' labor, but he even slandered. If Lu Mu Yin was provoked by him and didn't care about this any longer, then they would be the ones to suffer the losses. After all, he and the several other array masters had already studied it. Even if they joined forces, it would take at least 10 days to break the array, and the weak point they discovered may not even be the correct one. By then, even if the restriction was broken, they would all be disqualified from the competition. Luo Li and the others present also stared at the Crown Prince of Nanchuan with displeased expressions, as if they would throw him out of here together as long as he said a word more. The Crown Prince of Nanchuan revealed anger in his eyes, but he didn't say any more. With his cultivation base, he still had a chance to advance into the top 10, but he didn't understand arrays, let alone breaking restrictions. He was also anxious to break the restriction and advance to the peak of the mountain, so he naturally didn't dare to offend Mo Ling and the others. There were 6 people who participated in breaking the restriction before, and 3 of them were from superpower kingdoms. 2 of them were disdainful of Lu Mu Yin, who was squatting and investigating the array. Having good attainments in arrays didn't mean that she could break a restriction of such difficulty. They didn't believe at all that a sword master from a small kingdom really understood such profound arrays and restrictions. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks, of course, at this time, although they were inwardly contemptuous, but they didn't say anything to ridicule. One was because the Crown Prince of Nangxin's mockery already caused public anger. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, the sword masters present would naturally not let it go. And 2, although they were contemptuous of her, but they also held a glimmer of hope. Either way, they felt very conflicted. Inside the castle, in the center of the competition space, the elder of the sword sect furrowed his brows and said, "How could they encounter the Black Forest on the way to the top of the mountain? This is bad." Yeah, they sure are so unlucky to have encountered the Black Forest that hasn't appeared for a century. This is a restriction arranged by that Grade 4 Array Master. From memory, all the participating sword masters who encountered this place 100 years ago were all eliminated, right? The Elder of the Vast Mountain Sect's expression also looked very ugly. The path to the top of the finals was formed by a combination of various arrays and restrictions, and it was also the doing of the few almighties who sealed this space. No one could change it. The Black Forest was the creation of a disciple of one of the almighties in a moment of interest. He was not only a great array master, but also had excelling talent on restrictions. Among all the array restrictions, the Black Forest deserved to be considered the most difficult restriction here. Even if a Grade 4 Ordinary Array Master came, it would be difficult to crack within 3 days. Only those who had excelling talent and restrictions could have the possibility of uncovering its weak point. And all the favored children of heaven that met the Black Forest who participated in that session of the Continental Tournament for Hegemony had no one who could break this restriction and were all eliminated in the end. Of course, if they just lost here, many of the people who performed well in the first 2 competitions would also be brought back by the various sects to be outer pupils, but not participating in the finals was definitely a stain in their life. Didn't Mo Ling and the others say that they can break this restriction in around 10 days? An elder of the Spirit Tamers sect held a glimmer of hope. Their sect had taken a fancy to several people in this competition, so if they were eliminated here, then those people would have no fate in being core pupils. The strong and steady elder of the 8 Extremes sect sneered. The weak point in the restriction they found is simply a deliberate illusion from that person. Even if they break it 10 days later, it will only break the first layer. The others could only sigh when they heard his words. The elder of the 8 Extremes sect usually appeared unreliable, but he was a veritable Grade 4 high-level array master. Could this session's participants also be lost here? The elder of the Medicine sect's expression changed. The elder of the 8 Extremes sect folded his arms and smiled. This old man is rather optimistic about Lu Mu Yen. All the elders present, including those from the 8 Extremes sect, were speechless at his outrageous remarks. Lu Mu Yan's array skills were indeed excelling, and she could even set up a Grade 3 array at such a young age. But the Black Forest was a restriction arranged by a Grade 4 array master that had long become famous on Tianling continent. How could it be broken? Your expectations for her are rather high. A Grade 3 array master can break the restriction placed by a Grade 4 array master? What a joke. The elder of the Vast Mountain sect shook his head. Among the participating sword masters this year, although he was also very optimistic about Lu Mu Yen, but he wouldn't be so blind. Although the Black Forest is a restriction that was set up by that person when a Grade 4 array master, but it's actually only a Grade 3 restriction. If others can't break it, it's because they don't have that talent. It doesn't mean Lu Mu Yen can't break it. The elder of the 8 Extremes sect obviously continued to hold his own opinion. He had seen Lu Mu Yen set up arrays through the crystal wall. Her techniques were not only skillful, but also superb, just like a great master who had studied arrays for decades. Maybe she really could create a miracle. The elder of the Vast Mountain sect said with a smile that wasn't from his heart, "Then well, wait and see." The other elders were obviously on the side of the Vast Mountain sect elder. They didn't think Lu Mu Yen could break the restriction that wiped out the entire group of participating sword masters 100 years ago. It would obviously be great if Lu Mu Yen could break this restriction. After all, among the hundreds of people, many good seedlings had entered their eyes. If they couldn't arrive at the top of the mountain, they could make an exception and directly bring them into the sect to become an outer core pupil. Lu Mu Yen didn't know that the elders of the 6 major sects were watching her. At this moment, she took out an array compass with a very solemn expression to participate in breaking the restriction. The vague interest in her eyes made many people present twitch the corners of their lips. They were all here with their miserable worries, wondering whether they'd be able to arrive at the peak of the mountain within 10 days. Yet she was here so excited, as if she had encountered some sort of prey. Chapter 299. activate the restriction. The array compass in Lu Muyan's hand was made by herself and only the size of a palm. She stared at the array compass intently, and from time to time she would walk around to test the restriction with her spiritual energy. Mo Ling walked to her side, and when his eyes fell on her array compass, he couldn't take it back. Lu Muyan, can you show me your array compass? Lu Muyan was currently in deep contemplation, and when she heard his words, she handed it to him without hesitation. Not long after, Xiao Junyao and the others also arrived here and inquired about the situation of the black forest from the others. When he walked to the junction of the black soil and brown soil, his expression instantly changed, and his face also sank instantly. The teammates around had never seen his face change like this. They all had a bad premonition in their hearts. Junyao, is there something wrong here? One of them asked with slight worry. The people around him pricked up their ears when they heard this question. Xiao Junyao, being a predetermined pupil of the Heavenly Secret Palace, was in fact known by a small number of people here, so his words were also credible. Xiao Junyao sighed. Our luck in this session's competition sure is so bad. The Black Forest is the strongest restriction on this mountain. What? The strongest restriction? Is it difficult to break? Someone couldn't help but ask. It's not that it's difficult to break, it's very difficult. 100 years ago, there was a session where the Sword Masters also encountered this Black Forest restriction halfway, and in the end, they weren't able to break the restriction and arrive at the mountain peak within the allocated time. Xiao Junyao's expression was dark. That session, all participants were eliminated, and no one came out of the finals. What? All participants were eliminated. The expressions of many people present changed when they heard his words. Yes, no one made it into the top 100 at that time. Xiao Junyao's handsome expression couldn't resist but be stained with a layer of worry. If they were trapped outside the restriction and was unable to reach the top of the mountain, then even if he entered the Heavenly Secret Palace, he wouldn't be able to become a core pupil of the outer sect and could only start as an ordinary outer pupil. How could this happen? Then what should we do? Many people were completely dumbfounded. It was impossible for Xiao Junyao to use this kind of thing to deceive them. He was even a predetermined pupil of the Heavenly Secret Palace. Even if he couldn't become a core pupil, but he would at least not need to worry about not being able to enter the palace's gate. But they were different. If they didn't advance into the top 100, it would probably be difficult for them to enter the sect. Brother Xiao, how many people entered the 6 major sects at the end of that session? Someone asked urgently. Xiao Junyao pondered for a while, then said, no more than 30 people. His words made the expressions of the people present change. Some of the predetermined pupils were a little calmer, but they were still very disappointed. After entering the sect, there was still a big difference between ordinary pupils and core pupils. The waves of discussions continued, and negative emotion spread. Why don't we try to attack it? Someone suddenly suggested. Others also agreed. Might as well treat a dead horse as if it's alive. Xiao Junyao thought about it and nodded in approval. Let's discuss it a little more. He looked up and saw Mo Ling currently talking to Lu Mu Yin not far away. They appeared as if they were deaf to their reactions, so he thought a bit and walked over. Mo Ling, do you have any countermeasures? Xiao Junyao knew that Mo Ling was born in a distinguished clan that specialized in arrays and was also a grade 3 array master himself, as well as a predetermined pupil of the Heavenly Secret Palace. Mo Ling's expression was indifferent, and his cold and solitary temperament added a bit of mystery to his handsome appearance. We found a weak point in the restriction before, but it will take at least 10 days or so to break. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks with a solemn expression, he continued, the most important thing is that we're not sure whether it's a real weak spot or a trap deliberately set by the person who placed the restriction. Since Xiao Junyao knew about the situation of the Black Forest, then he naturally understood that the restriction was difficult to break. He was a little disappointed when he heard Mo Ling's words. Even if Mo Ling and the others found the weak point of the restriction, but they couldn't wait 10 days. Leaving the restriction area didn't mean that they could reach the top of the mountain safely. There were still many roadblocks ahead, and it would take time. The array compass in your hand is rather extraordinary. Xiao Jun Yao was silent for a while, and when he looked up, he saw the dark golden array compass in Mo Ling's hand. He had a very light psychic bloodline and could feel the existence of the spiritual items around him. The array compass in Mo Ling's hand was actually made of heavenly frost golden crystal, which sure was extravagant. When Mo Ling borrowed it from Lu Muyin, he naturally recognized the refining materials for this array compass, and he smiled bitterly. This array compass belongs to Lu Muyin. I just borrowed it for a look. The heavenly frost golden crystal was one of the best materials for refining array compasses, and the sensitivity of the array compass was many times stronger than that made from ordinary materials. He was fascinated by arrays, and also wanted to find heavenly frost golden crystal to refine an array compass. But such spiritual items could be found but not be desired. He just didn't have as much luck as Lu Muyin. Xiao Jun Yao was surprised. So it's young Miss Lao's array compass. Then he immediately curbed his emotions and smiled. I almost forgot that young Miss Lu is also a grade 3 array master. What Lu Muyin arranged during the Great War was a grade 3 fire array, which was already very rare, and it could even be said that there were almost no people of her age who could achieve such attainments in arrays. Since she actually owned an array compass refined from heavenly frost golden crystal, then the background hidden behind her was probably not so simple either. This kind of spiritual item wasn't something any ordinary person could obtain. Of course, he didn't rule out the fact that she was just lucky, and with her excelling talent, her future achievements in arrays definitely wouldn't be too low. No wonder that all the predetermined pupils of the 6 major sects received orders to secretly win over Lu Muyin. With her talent and temperament, if they focused on raising her, then she would definitely be extraordinary in the future. Lu Muyin smiled and said nothing. Xiao Jun Yao's prestige among the sword masters in this competition space was very high, and he had a very good ability to gather people together. He wasn't as simple as what his elegance makes him out to be at all. Since we can't break this restriction for the time being, why don't we try to attack it? Xiao Jun Yao looked at the two and asked. He was a layman in front of arrays and restrictions. Among the people here, Mo Ling and Lu Muyin understood arrays the most. We could try. Mo Ling pressed his lips together, and after thinking about it, he looked up at Lu Muyin and asked, "What do you think?" It's good to try several methods. Lu Muyin smiled lightly. She had complete confidence in breaking this restriction, but she wouldn't say it aloud right now. She had just let these people toss about first. She didn't request for these people to have a grateful heart for her when she broke it, but she just hoped that they wouldn't cause trouble for her. Then let's try first. Xiao Jun Yao then organized a group of people to attack the positions Mo Ling and the other array masters designated using various means in an attempt to forcibly break the restriction. Lu Muyin didn't join their restriction-breaking army and still continued to take the array compass to research and explore. This sort of restriction wasn't difficult for her, an almighty from the spirit world, but she found that the person who arranged the restriction used several very subtle and intricate methods, so she held the array compass, wanting to study it more. 3 days later, someone touched a point in the restriction during the attacks, and all one saw was a light suddenly emerge from the ground of the Black Forest. When many people were pleasantly surprised, thinking that they had performed a blind cat catching a dead mouse moment, and broke the restriction, suddenly a black, transparent light cover shrouded the entire forest, and the air also had a slightly strange smell. "This is bad. Quickly retreat." Mo Ling's expression changed greatly, and he shouted urgently. A few people in front who accidentally touched the black light cover instantly screamed. After falling to the ground, their entire body trembled and they were foaming at the mouth. "What's going on?" Xiao Junyao's expression was extremely ugly. Mo Ling's eyes were cloudy and uncertain. Someone accidentally touched a mechanism in the restriction and activated it completely. Now, if we want to break it, it'll be even more difficult than rising to heaven. Chapter 300. I can break it. The several people in front were quickly carried back by the people of the same team. Those present didn't dare to approach the black, transparent cover anymore. Xiao Jun Yao asked two physicians to quickly come forward to treat them, but after taking a few pills, it was ineffective. The poison they're inflicted with is too strange. Even we can't solve it. The ear-piercing screams of the several of people continued to resound, and the scalps of the surrounding people all felt numb. Lu Muyin swept the poisoned sword masters with her gaze and discovered that one of them, when others were ridiculing her, had said a few good words for her. The others hadn't spoken to slander her at all, and they were obviously from the same team. She furrowed her brows, walked to the few people, took out a bottle of pills, and tossed it to them. Eat it. Those people felt unbearable pain, as if they were being burned in flames, and they couldn't think of any reason why Lu Muyin would harm them either. So they took the pill and quickly swallowed it. After a while, the several people gradually regained their calm, and the burning sensation on their bodies was replaced with a coolness. They also knew then that Lu Muyin's pill had detoxified them. Thank you greatly, young Miss Lu, for saving us. We will remember this favor. The several people expressed their gratitude to Lu Muyin. If it weren't for her antidote pill, they would have probably already met King Yama by now. No need, it wasn't difficult. Lu Muyin smiled nonchalantly. It wasn't a big deal if she saved people who were pleasing to her eye. If it were those that quietly cursed her the fiercest before, she definitely would be too lazy to care. Meanwhile, her calm, breeze-like behavior also made the people around her stunned. The poison that two physicians couldn't even resolve was resolved by a single pill from her. This shocked them and also made them want to form a good relationship with her. Maybe they'd even be able to buy some pills for emergency use. How did you guys get poisoned? Were there any unique feelings? Xiao Junyao asked. We were attacking the place that was designated in the restriction, which was closest to the black cover. Then we were poisoned by the black light when we didn't retreat in time. One of them said. Another person continued. After being poisoned, my whole body felt as if it was being roasted in a furnace, and the burning was so bad that it made me feel as if living was worse than death. The several people still had lingering fears when they mentioned this, and the pain was something that would be unforgettable for the rest of their lives. Xiao Junyao's expression darkened, and he asked Mo Ling, "What should we do now? There's no solutions." Before the restriction was triggered and activated, maybe there was still a chance of breaking the array within 10 days, but now that it's completely activated, it may not even be broken within a month. Mo Ling's cold and proud expression revealed a decadence that had never appeared before. He really tried his best for this restriction, but he just couldn't see through the profoundness of it. Hearing even Mo Ling, this array genius, say such words, the sword masters present were all dejected. Could it be that they were really so unlucky that they were going to have to pack up and go home this time? The expressions of Yin Jun and the others also weren't that good. They had spies from the 6 major sect come to try to win them over, but if they couldn't even reach the mountain peak, unable to enter the top 100, then even if they entered the sect, they would have no fate for the core pupil of the outer sect, and the treatment would be as different as heaven and earth. Lu Muyin, have you found any flaws? Seeing Lu Muyin continue to play around with the array compass near the light cover after detoxifying the several people, a glimmer of hope inexplicably rose in Yin Jun's heart. Sinan and the others also approached to ask. Lu Muyin's attainments in arrays were even higher than Mo Ling's. Although there wasn't much hope, but it was better than total despair. Lu Muyin glanced at Yin Jun and nodded. I indeed found one. This restriction had been thoroughly researched by her. In fact, it was actually easier to break the restriction after it was fully activated. At least, that weak point was exposed more clearly. What? You're not joking, are you? A young man beside Xiao Junyao couldn't help but doubt. Here, Mo Ling just announced that they couldn't break the array, and they may all be eliminated. Yet over here, Lu Muyin said that she had found a flaw. What sort of joke was this? Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Lu Muyin glanced at the man lightly, and her face darkened. Do I have to joke about this? Apologies, I was impatient just now and had no other intentions. The man immediately apologized to Lu Muyin when he saw Xiao Jun Yao cast a reproachful look at him. If Lu Mu Yin didn't break the restriction because of his words, regardless of whether it was true or not, the people here would definitely blame him. Lu Mu Yin, you found the weak point of this restriction? Mo Ling's eyes revealed a rare brilliance. Lu Mu Yin pointed to a position under the black light cover and said, "There can break the restriction." Mo Ling and the several other array masters quickly took out their array compasses, walked to the position that Lu Mu Yin said, squatted down to investigate, and after about an hour, they stood up. This is indeed the weak point of the restriction. Mo Ling's solemn expression didn't show relief, however. Seeing that many people revealed excitement in their eyes, he couldn't help but pour a basin of cold water on them. But this weak point needs an array within an array to break, and it's very difficult to break. At least, there's nothing I can do. Although the other array masters were only grade 2, but they still had some knowledge, and they were even more powerless. We're also powerless. An array within an array wasn't something that any ordinary person could set up. It not only required the array master to have an innate keen sense for arrays, but also needed one to be proficient in calculations. The hope that had been ignited was once again extinguished by the several people pouring cold water on them. Wasn't this even more uncomfortable for them than direct hopelessness? Since young Miss Lu found this weak point, then do you have any countermeasures to break the restriction? Xiao Junyao had a kind and elegant smile on his handsome face. Xiao Junyao's words also awakened the others, who all turned their attention to her. I can break this restriction. Lu Mu Yin nodded with a smile. The self-confidence and proudness were revealed subconsciously, which bedazzled people. Although they still didn't dare to believe that Lu Mu Yin could break this restriction that even geniuses such as Mo Ling couldn't break. But there was still a glimmer of hope that rose in everyone's hearts. Remembering that Lu Mu Yin was able to withstand 3 moves from a peak phase tier 8 demonic beast earlier, the grim looks on many people eased a lot. With her hidden methods, maybe it was possible to break it. Yi Qing Han and the others absolutely believed in Lu Mu Yan's ability, and there was expectation in their eyes. Then we will trouble young Miss Lu today. If there is anything you need help with, feel free to speak up. Xiao Junyao spoke very politely. Lu Mu Yin nodded. Sure. She didn't want to delay any longer either. Although she knew the method of breaking it 2 days ago, but she didn't say it immediately. 1. It was to wait for these people to toss about for 2 days, and 2. She didn't want to expose her talents and methods so quickly. She walked to the weak point and took out a few round and shiny white jades, then buried them in the ground outside the black light cover. Then she took out a black array flag and planted it above. Her hands formed seals, and one after another, array seals were punched into the array flag consecutively. After a while, the array flag emitted a layer of soft light, and several beams of light struck straight into the ground. Then everyone watched her sit cross-legged. Her hands continuously formed seals, and strips of jade-colored runes emerged from her body, entering the array flag. 2 hours later, Lu Mu Yin finished forming seals, and there was an additional array that was formed from strip after strip of rune seals possessing runes within. She recited a few phrases, pointed with 2 fingers, and a beam of light fell straight down. The array suddenly seemed to have come alive and transformed into 100 jade dragons the thickness of a finger. A portion of the jade dragons entered the ground, and the rest all flew into the air. They roared a few times, then all leapt onto the black cover and began to bite at it ferociously. Mary, 300 chapter, yay! The arc is also coming to an end soon. After this arc, our otherworldly, handsome MX will appear more together with our lovely, violent, celestial LMY. Chapter 301. You're just all unpleasant to my eyes. Everyone was stunned when they saw the 100 jade-colored rune dragons come roaring out of the array, then gnawing and swallowing the black light cover bite by bite. The jade dragons, with the thickness of a finger, gradually grew and became longer and larger after swallowing the energy of the black light cover. Although they ate very fast, but it still took a while. Lu Mu Yin expended a lot of spiritual energy to arrange this array. She poured out a spiritual energy recovery pill to take. Young Miss Liu, is this a grade 3 pill that recovers elemental energy? Xiao Junyao pondered and asked with a gentle smile. Lu Muyin stood up and patted her sleeves. It's a grade 3 spiritual recovery pill. What's wrong? Spiritual recovery pill? Confusion flashed past Xiao Junyao's eyes. He had never heard of this kind of pill, but he knew that it was extraordinary by just smelling the fragrance. I wonder if young Miss Liu has any extra pills? Can you sell it to this one? You want spiritual recovery pills? Lu Muyin looked at him with a half-smile. Not just spiritual recovery pills. This one would also like to buy a few of the pills that Miss used to detoxify them earlier. Xiao Junyao wasn't evasive either. Lu Muyin pondered for a bit, then said with a smile, as sword master at Sword Sovereign Cultivation Base can recover at least above half their elemental energy using one spiritual recovery pill. There is no time limit either, and it also won't affect the battle. I can sell you 30,000 spiritual stones for one. The antidote pill can cure 100 poisons. Of course, poisons like those ancient mysterious poisons can't be cured. After a pause, she added, 10,000 spiritual stones for one. These two kinds of pills are excellent in saving one's life. I'm also selling it to you at such a cheap price because you're very pleasing to the eye. She folded her arms with an expression as if saying you've got a bargain. Of course, you could decide not to want it if you think it's too expensive. Everyone couldn't resist twitching the corners of their lips when they saw her smug little expression. However, the price for pills with such effects was indeed really fair. If one went to an auction outside of the competition space, then a single spiritual recovery pill would probably cost at least 40,000 spiritual stones. After all, there was no time limit, and pills that could restore more elemental energy during battles were not necessarily available even with money. The pill tower only sold 2 batches each year. Not only was the price very high, but it could only be bought through connections, so it had long been monopolized by distinguished clans. Most importantly, according to what Lu Muyin said, the effect of the spiritual recovery pill to restore elemental energy was even better than that of the pill tower's grade 3 pills. This was indeed a life-saving pill. After all, imagine 2 sword masters of the same cultivation base in a battle against each other. If one side took a spiritual recovery pill when their life was at stake, then it would definitely break the tie and be able to kill the other side. It could be seen just how valuable recovery-type pills were. Many people were also moved by this and wanted to buy it. All right, then I will thank young Miss Liu for your great generosity. Xiao Junyao looked at her with amusement, took out a bag of spiritual stones from his interspatial ring, and handed it to her. Lu Muyin took out 2 porcelain bottles and tossed them over. Xiao Junyao was a person she could befriend a bit. Judging from his style of doing things, although he was a little slippery, but he wasn't bad. When she was challenged by the Tier 8 demon cultivator that day, Xiao Junyao stood up to defend her too. Regardless of what attitude he had then, at least he wasn't hypocritical. Seeing that the transaction between the two was successful, many people also came over to buy. Lu Muyin looked at a few people who had secretly slandered her very harshly before and now wanted to buy some pills. She said coldly, I only sell it to those that look handsome. Forget about you all. Her words almost made the several spit blood. What did she mean she only sold to those who were handsome? Did one even look at appearance to sell things? The several people touched their faces. Although it was true that they didn't look as handsome as Xiao Junyao, but they still weren't that bad. Young Miss Liu, you meant to say that our appearances don't enter your eyes? One of them asked unhappily. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Lu Muyin nodded. You sure are all quite self-aware. That man was so shocked by her that he didn't know what to say. If you don't want to sell, just say it. Why make such excuses like this? You favoring one over another sure belittles people. You're just all unpleasant to my eyes, so I want to sell to you. What? You have any complaints? Lu Muyin sneered and raised an eyebrow. These people sure like to turn their noses up at her one. She gave them face, yet they didn't want it. As if she was bothered to pretend with them. Aren't you too arrogant? The other person's face revealed slight annoyance. They were large kingdom sword masters affiliated with Nanshuan. All their interests and benefits were centered on the crown prince of Nanshuan. Earlier, when they said those things behind Lu Muyan's back, it was also because they wanted to cater to the crown prince of Nanshuan. Yet who would have thought that it completely offended her? But even if they were a vassal kingdom, they were also heirs to distinguished clans of a large kingdom. Because of their good relationship with the crown prince of Nanshuan, they had long developed an arrogant and domineering temperament in their own kingdom. So upon hearing Lu Muyan say such, they were immediately angered. "I'm just being arrogant. What are you going to do about it?" Lu Muyan glanced at them. "Do you want to fight? I'll accompany you all to the end. You can all come at once." Then she stretched out her hand and rubbed it, looking as if she was prepared to fight. The several people chalked. They saw her use the fire array in her violent hand-to-hand combat. She even had a few mighty tier 7 spirit pets. Plus, she could take on 3 attacks from a peak phase tier 8 demonic beast. Although they were a little hedonistic, but they weren't fools. If they fought with her, they would definitely be beaten black and blue. They had seen what the second prince looked like after he was ganged up on last time. Seeing the several people cower back, Lu Muyan wasn't even in the mood to beat them up anymore. Such timid and cowardly sword masters really weren't worth for her to use her means to toy with them. "Lu Muyan, don't bully people too much. You have so many tier 7 spirit pets. How can we be your opponent?" Someone shanked their neck and shouted. Lu Muyan raised an eyebrow and sneered. "So what if I'm bullying you all? If any of you have the ability, then also let out a few tier 7 or tier 8 spirit pets to bite me. You really take ignorance as your hobby." The several people were speechless at what she said. If they had a few tier 7 or tier 8 spirit pets, then even without her telling them, they would have long released them to bite her. Where's the need to be afraid of her? "Shut up." The crown prince of Nanshuan furrowed his brows and scolded the several people. These fools, they couldn't even beat Lu Muyan. What were they doing provoking her? Ultimately, wasn't it losing his face? Besides, they still had to rely on her to break the restriction. If they infuriated her and she didn't care about it anymore, then who would they go cry to? The several people didn't dare to argue with Lu Muyan anymore after the crown prince of Nanshuan swept his cold gaze over them. Most importantly, whether it was combat power or a verbal war, they were both the losers, so they retreated unwillingly. None of the people here were fools, and they saw it clearly. Lu Muyan, this person, not only distinguished between kindness and enmity clearly, but also really held grudges. Thinking of how violently she killed tier 6 and tier 7 demonic beasts one by one in the melee, with just directly using her fists, they couldn't help but feel a chill run down their spines. They all secretly murmured inwardly that it would be best to not provoke this little grand ant in the future. 2 hours later, the black light cover had been swallowed completely by the Jade Dragon, and the 100 rune dragons combined into a giant dragon. After devouring all the energy that enveloped the black forest, the giant dragon roared, then swiftly entered into the black soil in the center of the forest. About another 2 hours later, everyone just saw the color of the land within the black forest gradually fade until it finally returned into a normal yellowish brown, but the color was still darker than the brown earth outside. The surrounding trees withered one after another, then finally turned into powder that scattered with the wind, disappearing from this world. One to act arrogantly to her. Chapter 302. When over the originally dense black forest around them instantly turned into powder and dispersed, and the depressing feeling also disappeared. No one noticed a dark rune dragon with the thickness of a finger slip into Lu Muyan from the sole of her feet. The toxin-stained rune dragon headed straight into Lu Muyan's dantian and loitered. With a thought, a cluster of purple gold flames seemed to open its mouth to swallow the rune dragon, then dive back into the green sea in her dantian to begin refining. Mo Ling and several other array masters quickly walked to the edge of the black forest and took out their array compasses to check continuously. The restriction is broken. Mo Ling's solemn, proud face revealed a rare trace of excitement. Xiao Junyao stepped forward and swept over it with his mental energy, and a joyous expression rose on his elegant face. It really broke. The others also revealed excitement and joy on their faces when they heard their words. Young Miss Lu, it's really thanks to you this time. Otherwise, as participants this year really would be wiped out. Xiao Junyao looked at Lu Mu Yin and said gratefully. Others also expressed their gratitude to her. This time, even the Crown Prince of Nanchuan and the others didn't oppose her again. Whether it was the pills that Lu Mu Yin possessed or her talent in arrays, they all shocked and amazed the people here. If she could advance into the top 100, then the 6 major sects would definitely contend for her. Lu Mu Yin responded with a faint smile, neither taking credit nor being modest. All right, since the restriction has been broken, everyone, hurry up to the mountain peak. It's already been 4 days. Xiao Junyao said to everyone with a smile. There are only 6 days left, and everyone was anxious to get to the top of the mountain as soon as possible to advance into the top 100. After expressing their gratitude to Lu Mu Yin, they passed the Black Forest and disappeared here. There are not many people left, but there were still people remaining who she wasn't familiar with. Young Miss Lu, can I chat with you alone? Xiao Junyao approached Lu Mu Yin and asked in a slightly lowered voice. Lu Mu Yin gave him a surprised look and nodded. Sure. The two walked under a big tree, not far away. Xiao Junyao arranged an elemental energy shield around them that isolated sound and mental energy from probing in. Sir Xiao is so cautious. Could it be that you've discovered some treasure and wanted to tell me to find it together? Lu Mu Yin raised an eyebrow and teased with a smile. Xiao Junyao chuckled. He discovered that this woman, named Lu Mu Yin, not only seemed to be covered in a veil that gave a sense of mystery, but was also very interesting. No wonder Luo Li and the others chased after her so tightly. Young Miss Lu teases. This one has been requested to tell you something important. Seeing his serious expression, Lu Mu Yin curbed her expression. Tell me. It shouldn't be a trivial matter for you to be so cautious. It indeed isn't a trivial matter. I wonder if young Miss Lu knows about the 6 major sects? Xiao Junyao asked with a smile. What I know is only just the surface of things. Just say what you want to express directly. Hearing Xiao Junyao ask this, she guessed his intention. Young Miss Lu is this smart. I believe you've already guessed it. On behalf of the Heavenly Secret Palace, I invite you. As long as you can advance into the top 100 in the finals, you can directly enter the Heavenly Secret Palace and become the core pupil of the outer sect. Xiao Junyao didn't go around in circles either and explained his purpose directly. Sword masters who wanted to enter the 6 major sects as an outer core pupil through the Continental Tournament for Hegemony must usually advance into the top 20 in the finals of this competition. Of course, if a sword master with certain specialties or special abilities was ranked within the top 100, even if they didn't enter the top 20, they could still be recruited into the sect to become an outer core pupil. What does the Heavenly Secret Palace see in me? My talent in arrays? Lu Mu Yin asked with a smile. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Young Miss Lu is excellent, whether in your own cultivation talent or your talent in arrays. The Heavenly Secret Palace is eager for talents and would naturally not want to miss out on a genius like you. What Xiao Junyao said was all truth. He had a very thin bloodline with the psychic constitution. That's why he could stand out, but in terms of talent, in all honesty, he was not as good as Lu Mu Yin. As far as I know, among the 6 major sects, the one that's famous for arrays on this continent is the 8 Extremes sect, and the Heavenly Secret Palace focused mainly on cultivation and nourishing one's nature. Lu Mu Yin looked at him with a half-smile. Xiao Junyao smiled and shook his head. Young Miss Lu is unaware, but there are special departments in each of the 6 major sects to learn these specialized occupations. The Heavenly Secret Palace is among the top in the path of the sword, taming beasts, alchemy, and in arrays within the 6 major sects. Each specialized department has geniuses from the younger generation on this continent, and it is no worse than other specialized sects. Xiao Junyao concealed the pride in his eyes. The reason the Heavenly Secret Palace could become the strongest among the 6 major sects, aside from their crushing strength, was also because during each grand sex competition, these specialized occupations also often win the championship. Lu Muyin knew he was telling the truth. The fact that the heavenly secret palace could stand on the continent for thousands of years and not collapse, and was also at the head of the 6 major sects, meant that their background and foundation was definitely deep. There would also be an endless stream of genius sword masters heading over upon hearing their fame. In addition, there are many connections between the heavenly secret palace and superpowers kingdoms in secret, so it was natural that they could recruit and train many geniuses who specialized in various occupations. It was said that the strongest array master and alchemist both came from the heavenly secret palace. What if I can't enter the top 100? Then wouldn't your thoughts be wasted? Lu Muyin joked. She had an indescribable feeling about the heavenly secret palace. Either way, she wasn't that interested. With young Miss Lao's strength and the means of a grade 3 array master, let alone entering top 100, there's even hope of entering the top 10. Xiao Junyao paused, then said with a smile, "The heavenly secret palace has given me news that as long as Lu Muyin doesn't drop below 200, then you can enter the heavenly secret palace. But if she fell below 100, no matter how talented she was, she could only start as an ordinary outer pupil." But this was also an opportunity. After all, the 6 major sects wouldn't accept sword masters below 100. Although he hadn't interacted with Lu Muyin for long, but with the only 2 times he did, he still couldn't see through this woman. He didn't believe that she wouldn't even be able to enter the top 100. "I need to think about it." Lu Muyin pondered for a bit and said with a smile. She didn't immediately agree or refuse. After all, the heavenly secret palace, as the #1 sect, still had its merits, and she ultimately hadn't decided which sect to choose yet. That's natural. If young Miss Lu can advance into the top 10 and join the heavenly secret palace, there will also be other rewards from a sect. You can make your final decision after the finals. Xiao Junyao had a sincere smile on his gentle face. This one Xiao is very much looking forward to becoming brother and sister of the same sect. He'll remember what Sir Xiao said, and I will consider it carefully. The 2 chatted casually a little more, then separated from each other. Xiao Junyao led his people towards the mountain peak quickly, and not long after he left, several waves of people came to Lu Muyin to discuss in detail independently. The general content was basically the same. The 6 major sects all had predetermined pupils who received news from the sect and came to win over Lu Muyin, hoping that she would join their own sects. Lu Muyin didn't refuse either, and the answers she gave were the same, that she would need to think about it for a while. After the secret conversations with those people were over, as soon as she walked to her group, she received aggrieved gazes from Sinan and the others. Chapter 303. This monarch's appearance is still pleasant to your eyes, right? Seeing Sinan's watery peach blossom-shaped eyes looking at her filled with grievances, Lu Muyin rolled her eyes. "You're not mentally ill, are you?" The expression Nan was originally about to make froze, and after restraining himself and returning to normal, he approached her and asked, "Lu Muyin, am better looking than Xiao Junyao, right? You each have your own strengths. Why are you asking me this?" Lu Muyin raised an eyebrow. Both Sinan and Xiao Junyao had handsome looks, but their temperaments were very different, and neither could be compared to the other. "Then you sold them pills, but didn't sell some to me." Sinan looked at her aggrievedly and accused. Lu Muyin was filled with goosebumps. "Talk properly." Sinan coughed lightly, shook his golden foil folding fan, and rolled his peach blossom-shaped eyes. "You're a woman who has no humor." Luo Li and the others couldn't resist laughing. Sinan's move may have been once useful against many women, but it was completely useless in front of Lu Muyin. They were happy to see him become a joke. "With your appearance, you need to use it toward a man who is interested in the same sex, and they'll probably show pity and tender care for Jade. But I'm not a man, and I'm not interested in your type." Lu Muyin rolled her eyes at him. Sinan's skin was just too thick, and he had no boundaries just to obtain pills. The corner of Sinan's lips twitched, and his face darkened instantly when he remembered being flirted with by men before. Lu Mu Yin, sell some of the pills you sold to Xiao Junyao to us too. Yin Jun glanced at Sinan. This shameless, snarky, poison-hearted person could also experience such a slump. They had been thinking about those pills for a long time, but they just couldn't ask for it. Seeing her sell them to Xiao Junyao earlier, they also saw this as an opportunity. Of course, her saying that Xiao Junyao was handsome made them brood. How was that smiling tiger one more handsome than them? That's all fine. We're considered friends. I want to accept spiritual stones from you guys this time. They'll gift everyone too. She had seen how these people defended her earlier, and she had always been generous to those who she could regard as friends. The several people were stunned when they heard her words. Lu Mu Yin would be this generous? The sun didn't rise from the west, did it? It was only after an extra 2 white porcelain bottles appeared in each of their hands did they come back to their senses. Lu Mu Yin, are you sure you don't want spiritual stones? Ji Xin asked. This money-loving woman wasn't emotionally attacked by something today, was she? The others also blinked at her, surprised by her generosity. Lu Mu Yin glared at the few people speechlessly and said, I've always been generous, all right? Return it if you don't want it. The several people quickly put away the porcelain bottle. What a joke. This woman was rarely this generous, and even if they needed to pay spiritual stones, they'd still buy it, so how could they return it? Afterwards, the several groups of people advanced together and also encountered various obstacles in the middle, but they were all avoided one after the other. When they arrived halfway up the mountain, a cold voice suddenly sounded in Lu Mu Yan's sea of consciousness. She stopped in her steps, and her gaze appeared slightly solemn. I have something to do. You all go to the top of the mountain first. Lu Mu Bai asked. Yinner, it's already halfway up the mountain. What do you have to do? Do you need us to accompany you? The others also expressed that they could accompany her, although they didn't know what she wanted to go do, but she probably wouldn't delay advancing in the rankings for some personal affairs. Big brother, I really have something to do. After I finish, I'll rush to the top of the mountain. Don't worry. Lu Mu Yin said with a small smile. Lu Mu Bai sighed. Little sister needed him less and less as she grew. Although he was a little disheartened, but he was also proud of her. Go. Come back early. Your goal is to be in the top 10. Lu Mu Bai's eyes were filled with doting and trust. Lu Mu Yin responded with a smile, said a few words to Lu Li and the others, then turned and set off in another direction. Where are we going? And Mo Yin discovered that there was a mental energy transmitted towards Lu Mu Yin earlier, and he felt that it was familiar. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Lu Mu Yin replied while rushing. The Thunder Monarch we met at Sunset Cloud Mountain Range asked me to go see him. When Xue Xue heard that it was the Thunder Monarch, his body shuddered. Why was that abnormal monster here? Be careful in a bit. And Mo Yin wasn't sure about the Thunder Monarch's purpose, but he wasn't afraid. Although his current cultivation base had only reached peak phase tier 7, but he could still use some secret skills and means. It was still possible to take Lu Mu Yin to escape the pursuit of a tier 9 demon cultivator. I just feel that his purpose isn't that simple. Lu Mu Yin couldn't help furrowing her brows when she recalled the questions Thunder Monarch asked her that day. All the way there was the Thunder Monarch's mental energy to lead the way, and it went very smoothly without encountering a single demonic beast blocking their path. Lu Mu Yin discovered that they were still far away from the destination. So after having Bing Ji return to his original form, she flew toward the place closer to the top of the mountain. After more than half a day, Lu Mu Yin jumped off Bing Ji's back, and she was slightly amazed by the sight in front of her. Ahead, the area was enveloped in dark clouds. It was a sea of darkness with thunder and lightning, and flashes of lightning struck down while the bottom was like a void. A majestic palace stood in the thunder domain where thunder and lightning intertwined. This is actually a thunder domain. Bing Ji smacked his lips with some fear in his eyes. He had ice attribute demonic energy, and thunder and lightning had restraining effects on his skills. Lu Mu Yin looked at the thunder domain with a layer of interest in her eyes. She could comprehend all the elemental energy attributes in this world, including the thunder attribute. When the thunder crocodile attacked her with the 3 moves, the thunder attribute element in her body was inexplicably awakened. Now, seeing the thunder and lightning flashing in the thunder domain, she actually felt a sense of intimacy. "Come in." A cold and emotionless voice sounded in midair with pressure. As soon as his voice fell, a path spontaneously formed in the thunder domain to isolate the surrounding thunder and lightning. Lu Muyin stepped in without hesitation, and the thunder element around her actually entered into her body like specks of stars. The Thunder Monarch, who saw this scene in the palace, was stunned. Could it be that this woman was born with a thunder constitution? But with his comprehension on the thunder attribute, it was impossible for him to be unable to detect what her physique was. If it wasn't the innate thunder constitution, then she at least should be a sword master who could comprehend the thunder attribute. The Thunder Monarch's eyes narrowed. It would naturally be excellent if Lu Muyin could comprehend the thunder attribute elemental energy. Lu Muyin walked very slowly. After the surrounding thunder attributes entered her meridians, it was as if it cleansed her meridians, and she felt a tingling sensation that was very comfortable. When she was about to reach the end, the thunder attribute element in her body was nearly full and could no longer penetrate into her body. She walked out of the path, raised her feet, and walked quickly into the large hall. 2 tall and heavy palace gates opened automatically, and she stepped right in. As soon as she entered the door, it felt as if her body swayed. Then she was teleported into a great hall. There was only one figure in the great hall, sitting on a throne. He wore a loose cyan brocade robe. Half leaning on the armrest of the throne, his posture lazy and his whole body exuded a cold and murderous aura. The only difference from the last meeting was that his face was no longer hazy. Lu Muyin could clearly see his handsome face with sharp edges and corners, but with a hint of femininity. The ends of his eyes were lightly raised, his dark eyes deep and cold, and his facial features were intricate, although somewhat delicate and soft, but it wasn't entirely feminine. The combination of coldness and laziness gave one a romantic and unrestrained feeling. "How is it?" This monarch's appearance is still pleasant to your eyes, right? 1-2, face person. Usually used to describe outwardly kind but inwardly cruel people. Chapter 304. Give me a reason how, is it? This monarch's appearance is still pleasant to your eyes, right? Lu Muyin didn't expect that the Thunder Monarch, who appeared so cold and noble, would ask such a question, and said with a smile, "It's all right." The Thunder Monarch looked askance at her, snapped his fingers, and a seat fell beside Lu Muyin's sit. Lu Muyin wasn't polite either. After sitting down, she asked straightforwardly, "I wonder what business you have with me, Thunder Monarch? I don't have much time to delay here." She still had to rush to the top of the mountain to compete for the top 3. If she was delayed and couldn't make it to the finals because of this, who would she go looking to pay for the debt? Lu Muyin's attitude was very cold and indifferent, while the Thunder Monarch's gaze was deep. One couldn't tell his emotions. This was the first time he had been treated too rudely. Sure was interesting. Are you not curious as to why I am in this space? A wine glass appeared in the Thunder Monarch's hand, and he took a sip as he asked lazily. He replaced this monarch with I, which could be regarded as a negotiation on an equal footing. Lu Muyin raised her eyes. "I'm curious, but I have some guesses." "Let's hear your guesses." The Thunder Monarch shook his wine glass and said lightly, "Presumably, the you in the competition space is your original body, right?" Lu Muyin observed that the Thunder Monarch's expression didn't change, but his pupils constricted, and she continued, "What I saw in the Sunset Cloud Mountain range was just your double." The Thunder Monarch pursed his light pink lips as laughter overflowed, but he didn't sound that happy. "You are indeed not an ordinary sword master." "You're wrong. I am just an ordinary sword master." Lu Muyin leaned on one hand on the armrest, her tone light. The Thunder Monarch stood up and walked from the throne with a wine glass in his hand, tall and graceful. He walked to Lu Muyin and squatted down. His deep eyes were as if they were going to suck her in, and after a while, he spit out a sentence. Let's sign a contract of equals. Lu Muyan's expression was indifferent, and there was no joy at all in contracting a Tier 9 demonic beast. Give me a reason. Isn't it worth your risk to be able to contract a mutant royal race demonic beast like me? The Thunder Monarch brought his face closer to Lu Muyan, his breath against her face, and his voice was hoarse and sexy with a hint of temptation. Don't forget, I'm a Tier 9 demonic beast. A contract of equals. Only you benefit. Keep away from me. Lu Muyan furrowed her brows and pushed the Thunder Monarch away as she said with arrogance and dominance. So what about a Tier 9 demonic beast? I'd rather not have a demonic beast than have one with ulterior motives by my side. Seeing his eyes flash, she sneered, maybe others will be overjoyed by this kind of free pies falling from the sky one situation, but I don't want to contract you at all. What a joke! There must be some secret with the human almighties for the original body of this thunder beast to be bound in this competition space. Her mind would be broken if she felt that she was benefiting from this contract, even if she really had benefits, but the result would definitely be endless trouble. The Thunder Monarch was startled, obviously not expecting that he would be disliked by this human sword master with low cultivation base. What do you want? The Thunder Monarch asked, taking a deep breath to suppress the blazing fire in his chest. Lu Muyan looked at him coldly. Give me a reason why I should contract you first. You are such a bold woman. The Thunder Monarch chuckled, stood up, and walked back to the throne. 1,000 years ago, when I was still a cub, I inadvertently passed through a space rift and flowed to this interface. It only took 100 years for you human almighties to discover this space and bring waves after waves of high-level sword masters here to sweep this place clean. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks at that time, I was just a Tier 6 demonic beast, powerless to fight. Originally, as long as one cultivated to be able to transform, one could break through the shackles of this space. Yet who knew that those human powerhouses directly set up a great array to seal this place up? Later, every 20 years, they would send a group of young human sword masters into this space to participate in the Continental Tournament for hegemony, and the goal was mainly to maintain the balance in numbers of demonic beasts. When I advanced to Tier 9, I once had a great war with your human almighties for a few days. In the end, because of the restraint of this place, I failed to kill them successfully. Of course, they couldn't do anything to me either, so we came to an agreement. Since you have the ability to fight against those human almighties, then why don't you force your way out? Lu Muyan pondered for a moment. Then, as if remembering something, suddenly looked up at him and said, No, it's your original body that can't get out, right? Exactly. This monarch's original body is indeed bound by a mysterious force in this space. Unless I can break through to Tier 10, then I can't get out with my own strength. The Thunder Monarch's deep and dark eyes deepened. Lu Muyan raised an eyebrow. Then you should cultivate to Tier 10. With your mutant talent, although it isn't easy to advance to Tier 10, but it shouldn't be that hard. As long as this monarch remains in this space for one day, it is impossible to cultivate to Tier 10. The Thunder Monarch's eyes were filled with coldness. Why? Is it the restraining power of this space, or the array arranged by the human almighties? Lu Muyan asked in surprise. Both. Among those human almighties, there was one array master who used the energy of this space here to arrange arrays, making it so that all the demonic beasts in this place are unable to cultivate to Tier 10. The Thunder Monarch snorted coldly. If it weren't that the human sword masters discovered this space when he was only Tier 6, how could it be possible for those people to easily succeed? Lu Muyan chuckled, raised an eyebrow, and said, You're bound here by the human powerhouses, so why do you think I would help you? The grievance from this demonic beast isn't small. If he left this space, then she really didn't know if he would become a scourge or not. What if I gift you a great fortuitous opportunity? The Thunder Monarch drank the wine in his cup, and a drop of red liquid slipped from his lips along his collarbone. Extremely sexy. Lu Muyan rolled her eyes secretly. This Thunder Monarch was a little too seductive. Luckily, she didn't like this type of man. Otherwise, she'd probably be enchanted by him. Meanwhile, Bingji, who stood on her shoulder, wasn't so calm. His small eyes narrowed, and he couldn't resist repeatedly shouting beauty. Inwardly, you're bound in this space by the human almighties, and you obviously have a lot of resentment towards the humans. Although a large, fortuitous opportunity is good, but I don't want to become the sinner among humans and let you out to harm this land. Lu Mu Yin said straightforwardly. The Thunder Monarch looked at her in surprise and snickered. I didn't expect you, such a petty woman, to also have such an awareness. Truly rare. Don't forget that I'm also a human sword master. Lu Mu Yin rolled her eyes at him. I do have some resentment towards those human sword masters, but am not hostile to humans. The Thunder Monarch assured in a sincere tone. As long as you take me out of this space, I promise not to mess around and kill human sword masters arbitrarily. His enemies had never been the human sword masters of this small interface. Lu Mu Yin didn't miss the monstrous hatred that flashed across his eyes very quickly, but that hatred really didn't seem to be directed at those human almighties. It seemed that this Thunder Monarch was also a demon cultivator with a story. What you mean is that we will sign a contract of equals, and I'll use the Spirit Beast Ring to take you out of this space. Then you'll be free. Lu Mu Yin tapped lightly on the armrest of the chair with her finger. The Thunder Monarch stared at the wine glass in his hand. You're absolutely correct. One Chinese idiom meaning to obtain something beneficial / what you want / fortuitous, as if it just fell into your lap so easily. Lu Mu Yin lowered her eyes and pondered, and the Thunder Monarch didn't urge her either. The Thunder Monarch's cultivation base hadn't yet reached Tier 10, and he couldn't go out himself, but as long as he contracted her and became her spirit pet, then he would no longer be bound by this space. No wonder he kept asking her about the contract of equals back in the Sunset Cloud Mountain range, and showed joy when he learned that he could act freely. Her signing a contract of equals with her spirit pets was also a way to buy the hearts of the beasts. Forcefully bounding them together to make them surrender could indeed make them loyal, but it was still different to the loyalty from surrendering completely willingly. And she never liked to force things, even when it came to contracting spirit pets. Agree with him. Mo Yan's voice sounded in her sea of consciousness. Lu Mu Yin asked in surprise why. Mo Yin rarely intervened in her affairs, so he must have his own reasons for making her agree so decisively. The Thunder Beast is one of the mutant royal demonic beast races in the upper interface. After Tier 10, there will also be a second mutation, and they're very strong. I felt the bloodline of a Thunder Beast royal race on him. His identity is definitely not simple, and he may even be able to help you in the future. He wandered to this interface with this space since he was a cub, which meant that he may have been born here. I just feel that there are some secrets hidden here. How did you judge that he was born here? The hatred in his eyes just now was very strong, but it wasn't aimed at the human almighties. I think it should be related to his background. Lu Mu Yin asked in confusion. Mo Yin replied, the spiritual force in this space is so rich. If you can stay here long-term, you human almighty sword masters would probably have long organized people to come in to cultivate. You mean to say that there's a time limit for entering here? All outsider beings in this space can only stay for 1.5 years at most, then they would be forcibly sent out. So even if the Thunder Monarch wasn't born here, then he must be closely related to this place. Does this have anything to do with contracting him? Lu Mu Yin furrowed her brows. Contracting him meant big trouble, and those human almighties wouldn't allow him to leave here. Her current strength was simply not enough to fight against those human almighties. Because he has a big connection with this place, he will definitely be able to use a camouflage method to deceive those human almighties. Then the original body will follow you out of here. Most importantly, he should be cultivating a very secret skill, which is extremely bloody and dark, but can help him break through to Tier 10 and escape the shackles of this space and the human array. If that time comes, he will definitely take revenge when he goes out. If he cultivates the secret skill, plus his Tier 10 cultivation base. The so-called almighties of you humans wouldn't be his opponent at all, and the entire continent will be brewing with bloody rain and wind. That kind of secret skill requires the blood of human sword masters to condense into a blood pool for him to absorb the essence. By that time, your family might suffer too. He has only cultivated that to the first layer. After learning that you can help him, he chose to stop temporarily. This shows that although he has hatred in his heart, but his humanity still hasn't been destroyed and is not a demon cultivator who likes to kill. But if you reject him with his deeply buried hatred, he will completely go to the extreme. After cultivating the secret skill, it'll be a big problem if he left this space. Lu Muyan's brows knitted even more deeply. If that was the case, then it was really tricky. There should still be a secret skill in your contract of equals, right? Cast one on him when you contract him. If he dares to kill innocents arbitrarily and affect this small interface, then you can also restrain him. Mo Yin pondered for a while, then continued to speak. This is a method of killing two hawks with one arrow, which is the most beneficial to you, and the big fortuitous opportunity might even be surprising. Lu Muyan's lowered gaze flashed with a sharp glint, and the corners of her lips raised into an arc. Mo Yin, just what is your identity? The contract of equal skills stipulated that humans and demonic beasts contracted based on an equal relationship. However, ultimately, this skill was created by ancient human cultivators, so it was naturally more beneficial towards humans. After contracting, the spirit pets couldn't even have killing intent towards their owners at all. Otherwise, they would be punished by the laws of heaven and earth, but the humans wouldn't be affected by this. Although they couldn't directly kill their spirit pets, but there were several secret skills that could suppress disobedient spirit pets. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Mo Yan's insights and knowledge were not what an ordinary royal race demonic beast should have. You'll naturally know my identity once you leave this small interface. Mo Yin replied lightly. All right, it'll wait for the day you tell me. Lu Muyan believed that Mo Yan's identity was definitely no simpler than the Thunder Monarch. Mo Yan's eyes were dyed with a little smile. I will. After talking with Mo Yan, Lu Muyan looked up at the Thunder Monarch and asked, if I take you out of this space, then what if the human almighties find out? They won't let you, and I go, would they? You don't need to worry about this. Us Thunder Beast race has a talent that can confuse one's aura. At the time, it'll place a clone here to ensure that they can't identify real from fake. The Thunder Monarch raised an eyebrow slightly, filled with confidence. Do they know about your clone in the Sunset Cloud mountain range? Lu Muyan asked after thinking for a bit. The Thunder Monarch shook his wine glass. They only know that there's a Tier 9 demon cultivator in the Sunset Cloud mountain range, but they don't know that it's my clone, otherwise they would have long joined forces and used various methods to kill me. Then that's good. Lu Muyan nodded. The Thunder Monarch must have his own secrets to be able to send a clone out to cultivate to Tier 9. She wouldn't touch upon it. The main body couldn't cultivate to Tier 10, so his clone would naturally be affected and be stuck at the bottleneck too. So if the Thunder Monarch wanted to break through Tier 10 and pursue higher cultivation strength, then he must leave here. You don't have to worry about the human almighties. Since I want to sign a contract of equals with you, then I will naturally be restricted by the laws of heaven and earth and will not be able to have any thoughts of harming you. I won't believe that your skill is completely equal either. The Thunder Monarch looked at her, half smiling, and added, even am willing to choose to believe you. Take a gamble. Don't you dare to gamble? What's there to not dare to gamble? Lu Muyan chuckled and raised an eyebrow as she said, then let's talk about the conditions of trade. With us contracting, I will gift you a large opportunity, but after leaving here, although the contract cannot be annulled, but you cannot restrict my freedom. The Thunder Monarch's lazy expression revealed some seriousness. Lu Muyan hooked the corners of her lips. After she left, all she wanted was for this big ball of trouble to hurry up and get lost, so she naturally wouldn't restrict his freedom. Besides the large opportunity, you have to promise to help me do 3 things. She smiled meaningfully, the stars in her eyes amazingly bright. On the Thunder Monarch's baseline, being able to squeeze something from him was something gained. She wouldn't just let him slap his butt and leave so easily. What 3 things? The Thunder Monarch's eyes revealed some vigilance. This woman was a little fox. With even slight carelessness, one might fall in her trap. I haven't figured it out yet. They'll save it to use later. Seeing that the Thunder Monarch's expression changed slightly, she continued with a smile. Don't worry. What you'll have to do will definitely be within our ability. All right, I promise you. The Thunder Monarch smiled bitterly. Did he still have any choice? Aside from contracting Lu Muyin, he did have another choice, but he didn't want to practice that sort of sinister method. The Thunder attribute elemental energy in you has awakened, right? The Thunder Monarch looked at her deeply and asked. Lu Muyin didn't hide it either, yes. Then perfect. The big opportunity it'll give you is related to the Thunder attribute. 1. Technically, there's a formal English equivalent being kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but I just wanted to translate this literally to show more of the Chinese culture. Anyways, it's pretty straightforward 2xd2 slap ones, but and leave is a colloquial saying of complaint describing someone who just slips away, usually after causing trouble or inconvenience for others to clean up. Chapter 306. First to arrive at the mountain peak 3 days later, Lu Muyin came out of the palace. The surrounding thunder and lightning roared down while she walked across the thunder domain as lightly as walking through ground. As soon as she came out of the thunder domain, a circle of cyan light enveloped her, and she instantly disappeared. When she reappeared, she was already standing at the top of the mountain. She glanced around and found that no sword masters had arrived yet. She walked towards the quaint and ancient building made of black iron on the top of the mountain. As soon as she entered the gate, a sudden mechanical sound echoed throughout the mountain. Lu Muyin is the first to reach the top of the mountain. Lu Muyin is the first to reach the top of the mountain. Hearing the sound from the array, the participating sword masters who were rushing to the top of the mountain were stunned. In a swamp area, 7 people were sitting on a large boat magic tool, rowing forward. The surrounding demonic beasts kept leaping out, and the people on the boat waved their magic tools one after another. The black swamp was dyed red with demonic beast blood in only a short while. As soon as they reached the opposite side of the swamp, the sound of the array notification echoes in the air. What? Lu Muyin's the first to reach the top of the mountain. How's that possible? One of the men exclaimed. Xiao Junyao stood at the bow of the boat with a refined aura. He appeared indifferent, then said after a while, We were still a step too late. She will be my biggest rival in competing for the top 3. It was as if he had long expected this. He was actually looking forward to meeting her. Young lord, aren't you looking too highly on her? A beautiful-looking woman behind, Xiao Junyao, said disapprovingly. Her array talent is truly amazing, and she had endless tricks, but the final top 10 competition is a one-on-one battle. It's difficult for her to even rank in the top 9. She said this not because she was disgusted with nor slandering Lu Muyin. On the contrary, she actually admired that woman. Most of those who entered the top 10 in each session won using their strength. Those who were professionals in their vocations would be valued by the sect, but they would be more inferior in terms of their cultivation base. For example, Lu Muyin's talent in arrays was definitely among one of the top 5 in the younger generation, but her cultivation base couldn't be flattered. Among the top 100, she was probably the only sword monarch. Yeah, there will be various strict rules for each of the top 10 battles. In one session, the use of arrays wasn't allowed. If this time they also stipulated that the use of arrays as support is not allowed, her weakness would appear. The man who spoke first said. They also admired Lu Muyin, especially since she broke the restriction so that they wouldn't be all wiped out, but they still didn't think highly of her combat power. Xiao Junyao shook his head with a smile. You're all wrong. Her ability to easily kill Tier 6 and 7 demonic beasts in the melee has long highlighted her combat power. I have a hunch that she will amaze everyone this time. Since young lord thinks so highly of her, Then let's wait and see the final result. The several other people still didn't quite believe that she could enter the top 5. In a forest densely packed with the corpses of demonic beasts in the surrounding area, a cold-looking, black-clothed man carried a huge longsword and looked up at the mountain peak not far away. Arrived this fast? He hooked his lips upwards. Interesting. When they were about to reach the top of the mountain, Yin Jun and the others were struggling to fight the demonic beast that kept crawling out of the lake. Fuck, we're working so hard here, but Lu Muyan's already reached the top of the mountain. Sinan killed the last octopus beast and cursed foully. Ji Xian sighed and patted his shoulder. This is the gap between one and another. When Luo Li heard that Lu Muyan had reached the top of the mountain, a sunny smile bloomed on his face from his heart. He just knew that she would definitely enter the top 10. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Lu Muyan, so fast. There's still more than a day left before the end. Helian Lai wiped the blood from his body and sighed. Yi Qinghan's face overflowed with a dense smile. She was always just so dazzling and amazing. Lu Mu Bai and the others were also extremely happy. After these several groups of people that somehow met again finished killing the demonic beasts, they each rushed towards the top of the mountain quickly. They couldn't be too far behind Lu Muyan. The Crown Prince of Nanshuan and the others were still trapped on a cliff when they heard the sound from the array and were dumbfounded. Lu Muyan's actually the first one to arrive, then shall be ranked at least 10th. One of them said through gritted teeth. They were still working so hard to break through this restriction that they accidentally triggered over here, while Lu Muyan had already reached the top of the mountain over there. How could they, who had grudges against Lu Muyan, bear this? The Crown Prince of Nangxin's expression was extremely grim, and he kept bombarding the weak point of the restriction. After a while, he closed his eyes and said, "Don't fight with her in the future anymore. This woman is just too strange and inauspicious." As the Crown Prince, he wasn't as impulsive as he appeared to be, although he was unconvinced by Lu Muyan, but he had to accept the fact that she was indeed very powerful. That woman was also very petty. Luckily, they didn't have time to do anything substantively vicious towards her earlier. Otherwise, he would have another big enemy after leaving the competition space. He believed that as long as they didn't provoke her again, she wouldn't be their enemy. After all, that woman was very intelligent. Chu Han is the second to reach the top of the mountain. Xiao Junyao is the third to reach the top of the mountain. Luo Yi is the fourth to reach the top of the mountain. Yin Jun is the fifth to reach the top of the mountain. Sinan is the sixth to reach the top of the mountain. Luo Li is the seventh to reach the top of the mountain. He Su Feng is the eighth to reach the top of the mountain. Ji Xian is the ninth to reach the top of the mountain. Yi Qinghan is the 10th to reach the top of the mountain. Within one day, the sound of the mechanical array continued, and 6 hours before the end of the specified time, the top 10 of the finals were born. The most unexpected person was Yi Qinghan. After all, Lu Muyan and Chu Han had become the most watched dark horses in the last 2 matches. Even if they received some criticism for advancing into the top 10, but it was still acceptable. However, Yi Qinghan entered the top 10 without a sound, which surprised not only the other sword masters in the competition space, but even the elders of the 6 major sects. Lu Muyan, who was sitting cross-legged at the first gate, opened her eyes with a small smile in her eyes. She didn't expect that most of the top 10 people were familiar to her. Others say I'm secretive and hide my abilities, but it seems that Qinghan is hiding too. And Mo Yin didn't dislike Yi Qinghan. His constitution is a bit special. Plus, with the advancement of the Golden Eagle King, it's normal for him to advance into the top 10. A special constitution? Lu Muyan looked at Mo Yin in surprise. There were many differences between this continent and the former immortal cultivation world, and there was a very large difference in special constitutions. There were many spiritual constitutions that she had never even heard of. He has the psychic constitution, even stronger than Xiao Jun Yao's bloodline. Mo Yin said lightly. Psychic constitution? I only know of the innate spirit body constitution. The innate spirit body constitution could communicate with the natural forces and the speed of absorbing the spiritual force of heaven and earth was more than twice that of an ordinary cultivator. Below the nascent soul stage, there would be no bottlenecks, and even after advancing to the higher levels, their spiritual energy would be denser than ordinary cultivators. As far as she knew, the innate spirit-body constitution did exist on this continent, but she didn't know what was special about the psychic constitution. Chapter 307. Competition for the top 10 rankings. Mo Yin knew that she wasn't clear about many things on this continent, so he explained patiently. There are several types of psychic constitutions. Xiao Jun Yao can keenly perceive the existence of spiritual herbs and spiritual items, and absorbs the spiritual force of heaven and earth twice as fast as the ordinary person. He also has a very strong comprehension for cultivating certain secret skills and talents, and there is no bottleneck for him until the great achievement realm. Isn't Xiao Jun Yao's ability very similar to yours then? Lu Muyin teased with a smile. Mo Yin looked at her calmly. His talent is pretty good among humans, but it's nothing compared to many demonic beasts, and not even as good as the fire cloud make. All right, our Mo Yin is the best. Lu Muyin praised with a flowery smile. Mo Yin looked askance at her lightly. His eyes were dyed with a hint of helplessness, and a doting that even he didn't notice himself. The psychic constitution has a special characteristic. Their mental energy is more than double that of the ordinary, and they absorb spiritual force of heaven and earth much faster. No matter what manuals they cultivate, they could achieve twice the result with half the effort. Then that's a bit similar to the innate spiritual body constitution. But you said that there are several types of psychic constitutions. Which one is Qing Han's? Yi Qing Han's psychic constitution is mainly manifested in his taming of beasts. With his mental energy, the number of contracted demonic beasts won't be limited like other spirit beast masters. Moreover, he has a natural affinity for demonic beasts. It will be much easier than ordinary spirit beast masters to form a contract. And as long as his psychic constitution has been cultivated to the later stage, after learning certain secret skills, he can control demonic beasts without contracting them. It's a very rare and heaven-defying constitution. So that's how it is. But he didn't seem to show this kind of talent before. Lu Muyin said, while rubbing her chin. His psychic constitution was sealed by someone before. The last time we saw him, his seal had been partially undone, so hell becomes stronger and stronger in combat too. And Mo Yin didn't hide it either. Lu Muyin furrowed her brows. It was sealed? Can you break it? Why break it? The person who sealed it definitely didn't have malicious intent. On the contrary, it's a kind of protection for him. Mo Yin continued. A person with a special constitution shouldn't really rely too much on this constitution in the early stages. With his ability sealed, his cultivation base will also be more solid, which will be more conducive to future advancement. What's more, the seal in his body is being broken layer by layer, and they're triggered each time at a critical moment, allowing him to progress after reaching the limit. This way is the most conducive to his growth. Lu Muyin understood and poked Mo Yan's leg with a smile. You sure know a lot, Mo Yin. I naturally know more than you. Mo Yin stiffened, then turned his head away. By the way, does Ming Xiu have a special constitution? Out of everyone I know, he's the one I can't see through the most. The flamboyant, red-clothed figure suddenly appeared in Lu Muyan's mind, and she blurted the question out. When Mo Yin heard her suddenly mention Ming Xiu, his eyes that were as deep as the sea grew much deeper. There are definitely a lot of secrets on him, and there are as many as 3 kinds of seals in his body. As for constitution, I can't tell. Either he has a magic tool that can hide his true talent, or his cultivation method is special. Lu Muyin was surprised. There are 3 kinds? Good or bad? Good and bad, I say. But I can't see through the specifics. I discovered the 3 seals in his body when he was at Sword Monarch. After his cultivation base reached Sword Sovereign, I could no longer see through him clearly. Mo Yin pressed his lips together. That man always gave him a mysterious and powerful feeling. His constitution was very special, and he was especially sensitive to seals, so he could barely see through the seals in Ming Xiu's body when he was only a sword monarch, but he could only see that there were seals and didn't know what the specific seals were. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks to be able to even make him, one who was once a king of a portion of the demon realm, feel mystery and danger, then it meant that this man wasn't an ordinary swordmaster at all. His background and identity were definitely not as simple as Monarch Ming of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. His identity isn't simple. If you really want to choose to be with him, you'll probably encounter a lot of trouble in the future. There was once where he sensed a very faint aura on Ming Xiu that felt like it was from the same interface he came from. But it was only for a short time that one time, so he couldn't be certain whether he also came from that place like him. Lu Muyan's hand unconsciously caressed the ice bangle on her wrist and gently rubbed it. After a while, she said leisurely, "Since I acknowledged him, then he'll accompany him up in heaven and down in hell, and depend on each other in life and death. As long as he doesn't leave, then I, too, won't abandon." She would now think of Ming Xiu from time to time, and she also understood her own heart for him. Since Ming Xiu dared to provoke her first, then in this lifetime, that man must be hers. And Mo Yin was stunned for a moment, and a slight bitter feeling spread in his heart, but it was quickly suppressed by him. Among all the men who admired and loved Lu Muyan, Ming Xiu was indeed the most powerful and excelling existence. In the central castle of the competition space, a white-clothed man stood by the window with his hands by his side. With only just that one silhouette of his back, there was a noble and elegant temperament. At this time, he was holding a bracelet formed from beads carved from soul-nourishing wood, constantly rubbing it. The red and sexy thin lips overflowed with a graceful and elegant arc, and he lowered his head and muttered to himself, "Woman, soon, we'll be able to meet more often." If Lu Muyan was here, she would definitely be surprised, because the bracelet held in the man's hand was precisely the one she asked Manager Jiang, after the auction organized by the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance in the central city, to hand over to Old Yi to give to Ming Xiu. After the time limit of 10 days arrived, the voice of a high-level powerhouse resounded throughout the mountaintop. The top 100 sword masters in the finals has been born. Please look at the rankings on your own Identity Jade tablets. The sword masters outside the 100 immediately crush your Identity Jade tablet and teleport out of the competition space. All sword masters within the top 100 will remain at the mountaintop to await the result of the top 10. Everyone took out their Identity Jade tablets to check, and the people outside 100 sighed in disappointment, but they didn't dare delay and quickly crushed their Identity Jade tablets. In an instant, countless groups of white lights wrapped around the people outside of the first 100 and teleported them out of this space. As you all know, the competition for the top 10 rankings is very important. It also determines your resource allocations and status after you arrive at a sect, so you 10 will show all your strength to fight today. Yes, the top 10 answered all together. Each session's competition for the top 10 will have different rules. The rules are not designated by us, the judges at the time, but instead, the organizers have already set them 10 years ago. I will now announce the rules of this session. First, after the competition begins, the 10 of you will enter the stone gate behind you, and 2 of you will randomly walk to the same battle stage. There will be a referee on the battle stage, and the winner of the 2 will enter the gate on the left after the battle to continue to fight for the top 5, while the losers will go to the gate on the right to fight for the rankings in the bottom 5. Second, when you're fighting, you're not allowed to take any pills, use arrays, summon spirit pets, and use talismans to attack. Third, in the battle for the top 10 rankings, you are not allowed to kill the opponent. If the opponent is killed, whether it is intentional or unintentional, you'll be disqualified from the competition and will never be allowed to enter the 6 major sects. The above 3 points are the rules for the top 10 competition. Anyone who violates any of them will be immediately disqualified from the competition and teleported out of the competition space. Please remember not to do so. All right, you may all start now. After the judge's voice fell, the 10 people stood up in unison, pushed open the stone gate behind them, and walked in. Chapter 308. Not optimistic about her, hearing the judge announce the rules for the competition for the top 10, the other 90 people present were all stunned. If you can't use spirit pets, then what about spirit beast masters? Someone whispered. Yeah, spirit beast masters relied mainly on spirit pets to fight. If they can't summon spirit pets, then what do they use to fight with people? Actually, Lumu Yin suffers the most from these rules. Yeah, she has a lot of pills that can replenish elemental energy, and their quality is rather high. If she can take pills, she may be able to tire the other party out. Most of her usual battles, she uses arrays to help. Now that it's stipulated that arrays can't be used, her strength has weakened by almost half. Most importantly, she had several kinds of ferocious Tier 7 spirit pets. If there weren't these rules, then she can crush her opponents just by releasing her spirit pets to fight. Except for not allowing the use of talismans, the other 3 are all disadvantageous for Lumu Yin. It'll be difficult for her to advance in the rankings. There was slight gloating in this voice. Even if she loses all the battles, she can still be ranked 10th, at least better than us. The man's tone was slightly bitter. The discussions below continued, most of which revolved around Lumu Yin. Because of the rules of this competition, more than 2/3 of the people present believed that Lumu Yin would lose completely. The 90 people were then taken to a wide hall in the building with a crystal wall in front, and the situation inside was fed back via the array. That was to say, although these 90 people couldn't participate in the last competition, but they could watch the battle through the crystal wall. In the central castle, the elders of the 6 major sects also gathered to watch the competition. Why are the rules so harsh this time? The Spirit Tamer's sect's elder furrowed his brows in dissatisfaction. The power of them, spirit beast masters, were all about their spirit pets. So how could they fight if they couldn't summon spirit pets? The expression of the elder of the 8 Extremes sect also didn't look very good. Exactly. Why can't you use arrays? Isn't this deliberately making things difficult? You're not even allowed to use pills. The rules of the competition this time really are harsh. The elder of the medicine sect snorted coldly. Although the people from the other 3 sects also felt that the rules were a bit harsh this time, but it didn't involve themselves as much, so they didn't open their mouths to express their dissatisfaction. These rules just seemed to be aimed at Lumu Yin and basically blocked her path. Luckily, she was the first to reach the top of the mountain, otherwise it'd be difficult to even enter the top 10. The Vast Mountain sect elder said. The elegant and wise-looking elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace glanced at the complaining people. The organizers have already set the rules for the competition of the top 10 years ago, and there's no such thing as targeting anyone. It can only be said that Lumu Yin has bad luck. Furthermore, if you want to become a powerhouse of this land, or someone worthy for us to value in training, then you must not be too weak in your combat power. Otherwise, when the sect organizes them to go out for experience and training, or when they receive high-level tasks, they might die. Then it's simply a waste of resources we used to raise them. If none of these things could be used, they're still capable of fighting, and that's the genius elite worthy for us to raise. Then he added, of course, Lumu Yin's situation is special and needs to be treated differently. What do you mean by treated differently? The elder of the sword sect glanced at him suspiciously. Come and read on our website, Wuxia World site. Thanks, the elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace took a sip of tea, moistened his throat, and said, even if she can't win any of the battles at all, our Heavenly Secret Palace still wants her. You old thing, you're dreaming. The elder of the 8 Extremes sect glared at him. This damned old thing really had a great imagination. With her excelling talent in arrays, she's not suitable for your Heavenly Secret Palace. It's only right to come to our 8 Extremes sect. She can contract so many high-level spirit pets, which means her talent in taming beasts isn't weaker than arrays, so she's naturally more suited for our Spirit Tamers sect. The elder of the Spirit Tamers sect snorted. Those old things even want to snatch a spirit beast master from him. That's just too much. The elder of the medicine sect couldn't resist, saying, her ability to control fire is very strong. It would be a waste to not be an alchemist. As long as she comes to our medicine sect and raised well, she will definitely become an alchemist above grade 3 in the future. Her physique and fists are very tough. It's rare to find a body cultivator. She has no future with you all. It's only reasonable for her to come to our vast mountain sect. The elder of the sword sect disapproved. It's obvious that she has higher talent in sword skills. At this age, she can even set up a sword array. She's most suited to be a sword cultivator. Immediately, the several elders started arguing, all revolving around where Lu Mu Yin should go. In the end, the elder of the 8 extremes sect and the elder of the vast mountain sect almost fought with each other. But it could be heard from the tones of the several people that they didn't have hope in Lu Mu Yin advancing into the top few ranks. They were only glad that she reached the top of the mountain first, which meant that at worst, she could be ranked 10th in this continental tournament for hegemony. Meanwhile, Lu Mu Yin, who had already entered the arena, didn't even know that she was now a fragrant Bun 1, and the 6 major sects all wanted to take it for themselves. After walking along the path through the first door for a while, she walked to a battle stage and jumped up. After a while, a young man she didn't know walked in. When a man saw that his opponent was Lu Mu Yin, joy flashed in his eyes. He had the same understanding as the people outside. Lu Mu Yin, who was now without pills, arrays, and spirit pets, wouldn't be able to do anything. She would just be a stepping stone for his advancement. The man followed suit and jumped onto the stage. He cupped his hands at Lu Mu Yin politely and said, "This one is he Su Feng. Please give some advice, young Miss Lu." "Young master, he please." Lu Mu Yin responded with a faint smile. An elderly man sat cross-legged on a stone pillar on the battle platform. When he saw that the two were ready, he said, "No killing is allowed during the battle. Whoever gets knocked out of the battle platform or admits defeat, the opponent will win. Let's begin." As soon as the elderly man's voice fell, he Su Feng mobilized his long sword and poured his elemental energy in, then slashed towards Lu Mu Yin not far away. Lu Mu Yin appeared completely carefree, and when the sword aura was about to hit her body, she flashed and dodged easily. He Su Feng had long heard that Lu Mu Yin's footwork was like a ghost. Seeing it today, he realized that she was indeed extraordinary. He didn't dare to underestimate her and be careless either, so he directly used his killer move. Ice wolves formed from condensed ice attribute elemental energy attacked Lu Mu Yin one after another, and the temperature around them dropped rapidly. For ice walls suddenly emerged from the ground and surrounded her. The ice wolves were as if alive and even howled. With their sharp claws, they attacked menacingly. Lu Mu Yin's eyes were filled with interest. This person's ice attribute elemental energy had already reached the understanding realm, which was rare among the younger generation. No wonder he entered the top 10. However, although the opponent had a strong comprehension in his element, but his cultivation base was only at middle phase sword sovereign. In addition, he usually relied on his ice element condensation to battle. Lu Mu Yin didn't even bother to use her sword array against him. She snapped her fingers and clusters of crimson flames sprang out from her fingertips, instantly turning into mighty Majesty Fire lions, roaring as they met the ice wolves that pounced over with their sharp claws, one that she was highly desired by people. Chapter 309. When the first battle. Lu Mu Yin's fire lions condensed from fire elemental energy were stronger than the ice wolves in both size and ferocity. The surrounding temperature that had dropped to 0 began to warm up, and the heat overwhelmed the cold air, taking the advantage. The fire lions and the ice wolves began biting ferociously and fought as soon as they clashed. Because Lu Mu Yin's comprehension of the fire elemental energy had already reached great achievement realm, he Su Feng, who had only comprehended to the understanding realm, couldn't compare, so the result was evident. The ice wolves were bitten deeply at the neck by the fire lions, and the ice slowly melted little by little, finally swallowed by the fire lions. The surrounding ice walls were also melted into steam by a large fireball Lu Mu Yin flicked out. He Su Feng was shocked, and his expression changed. Just as he was about to use his trump card for the finale, who knew that the woman in front of him disappeared on the platform in a flash. He used his mental energy to sweep everywhere, but couldn't find her. After a few breaths of time, he suddenly felt the space around him fluctuate. He spun around and swung his sword but was slow one beat. A slender, white jade hand gently pushed. He Su Feng's side was struck by the palm, and the strength seemed very gentle, but in fact, it contained a powerful physical strength. He quickly mobilized his elemental energy to resist, but he still flew out of the battle platform like a kite with a broken string, and there was no time to resist at all. The old man on the pillar glanced at Lu Mu Yin in surprise, then announced with a serious expression, "Lu Mu Yin will advance to the next match. Please enter the left stone door to await the next opponent." He Su Feng lost the first match. Please enter the stone door on the right to wait for the next opponent. Immediately, a mechanical sound rang through the array and throughout the building. The first match is over. Lu Mu Yin wins. Hearing this voice, the people on the other 4 battle platforms, who were still fighting, were stunned for a moment, thinking in unison that Lu Mu Yin had defeated He Su Feng so quickly. How powerful. Although He Su Feng was not well known in the competition space, but he was a genius elite of a superpower kingdom. His use of the ice elemental energy attribute could rank in the top 3 among the younger generation. The speed of using his ice elemental energy condensation was also close to an instant. Knowing that he was in the top 10, none of the others would underestimate him, but no one thought that he would be defeated by Lu Mu Yin in such a short time. And the sword masters who watched the battle in front of the crystal wall were all stunned. After a while, someone cursed, "Fuck, Lu Mu Yin can instantly generate fire elemental energy without using arrays. The comprehension of her fire elemental energy is stronger than He Su Feng's. What an abnormal monster. Tis TSK. Her comprehension of fire elemental energy has probably reached the great achievement realm." Someone couldn't help but sigh. Because Lu Mu Yin used a baser use of fire elemental energy on arrays, it gave others the illusion that the flames she had condensed before were all relying on arrays. They never thought that she had true capabilities. Her movement is also so fast. No wonder He Su Feng was struck off the stage before he could react. He Su Feng underestimated his opponent. That's true. If He Su Feng prepared better and played his trump cards more fully, it's still unknown whether Lu Mu Yin can win or not. He Su Feng lost a little wrongly. What a pity. If you lose, and there's nothing to pity. But after winning this battle, Lu Mu Yin's next opponent wouldn't underestimate her anymore. Currently, most people believe that Lu Mu Yin was hiding her talent in fire elemental energy comprehension, which made He Su Feng underestimate the opponent. She also used her ghostly movement technique to take advantage of his inattentiveness to sneak attack, and that was how she won the battle. Toward her next battle, although they didn't think she would win, but they were anticipating it more than before. After a while, the mechanical voice kept sounding. Chu Han wins. Luo Yi wins. Xiao Junyao wins. Yin Jun wins. The victory of the 4 was expected by everyone, except Chu Han. That sword master named Chu Han is so powerful. Sinan used his trump card and still lost. Someone sighed while watching the battle scene on the crystal wall. Most importantly, Chu Han may have not even used his all. How do you know? Come and read on our website, Wuxia World site. Thanks. Don't you see that giant sword he's carrying on his back hasn't even been used? If that giant sword isn't his trump card, then he's got something wrong with him to carry a giant sword on his back wherever he went. It's more likely that it's his trump card. I wonder who he'll meet in the next battle. No matter who, Chu Han is a formidable opponent. After the battle, one was allowed to take pills to adjust. After about 2 hours, all 10 people returned to their peak state and began to continue to battle. The top 5 and the last 5 draw lots to determine your opponent. Those who didn't draw an opponent will obtain a bye 1 into the next round. The referee's voice sounded in the building. Those who didn't draw anyone will have a bye. Doesn't that mean whoever is in the top 5, with luck, will directly enter the top 3? Yeah, but luck is also a part of strength. Who dares to object to the organizer's rules? After the judge's voice fell, for small balls suddenly appeared in front of the 10 people. After choosing one, they crushed them to know their opponents. Lu Muyin didn't act immediately. When there was only a small ball left in front of her, she picked it up and crushed it. It was empty. The top 5 battles are Chu Han versus Luo Yi, Xiao Junyao versus Yin Jun. Lu Muyin has a bye. Last 5 battles, Si Nan versus He Su Feng, Luo Li versus Ji Xian, Yi Qing Han has a bye. At the beginning of the second round of the battle, most of the sword masters who watched the battle in the large room couldn't help but envy Lu Muyin's luck. Lu Muyin actually has a bye. Then didn't it mean that at worst, she'll still be third? Fuck, her luck is so heaven-defying. Being beautiful is an advantage. Rubbish. Didn't you see that Lu Muyin was the last one to draw lots? What does it have to do with looks? I'm just sighing. Being able to take the 3rd place in this continental tournament for hegemony means she'll be able to become famous throughout the continent. Maybe the little beauty can even take 1st place in the end. Someone joked, "Stop dreaming. Is 1st easy to obtain?" Any of those 4 people can skip stage battle. Lu Muyin is only an advanced phase sword monarch. On her cultivation base, she's already being crushed. It's impossible to win. That's true. Lu Muyin's cultivation base is too low. If she reached sword sovereign cultivation base, then it wouldn't be certain who wins or loses. Lu Muyin's not even 17 years old. She's already a genius among geniuses to have a cultivation base of advanced phase sword monarch. Stop being so picky. The battle's begun. Just watch quietly. Lu Muyin had a bye, but she couldn't leave, so she closed her eyes and waited for the next competition. After an hour, the mechanical voice sounded again. Chu Han wins. Xiao Junyao wins. Sinan wins. Luo Li wins. After the announcement, the judge's voice sounded. The 2 winners and the one with a bye will continue to draw lots. The one that received a bye will wait for the next round. I wonder if Lu Muyin has any luck to get a bye this time. If she has another bye, the worst rank she'll obtain is 2nd. Many people were discussing this. During the draw, there were 3 more balls in front of her. Lu Muyin grabbed one and crushed it casually. Xiao Junyao's name was revealed. Wanted you know, by meant the transfer of a competitor directly to the next round of a competition in the absence of an assigned opponent? Google definition. I did not, and I was so confused when the word bye appeared so many times while translating this chapter XD. Anyways, that's what a bye means, ha 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 ha. Chapter 310. Battle Xiao Junyao after the drawing of lots. The judge's voice sounded. Xiao Junyao versus Lu Muyin. Chu Han obtains a bye. Sinan versus Yi Qing Han. Luo Li has a bye. After his voice fell, Lu Muyin got up and pushed open the stone gate in front of her. At this time, Xiao Junyao was already standing on the battle platform and looked at her with a smile. She tapped her toes and jumped onto the stage. Young Miss Lu, we indeed meet again. Xiao Junyao's expression wasn't at all surprised, as if he had long expected it. Lu Muyin smiled lightly and said, Young Master Xiao, how are you? Allow Muyin to experience young Master Xiao's skills today. She had hoped to draw and compete against Xiao Junyao before, mainly because she was very curious about the psychic constitution and wanted to see it in person. Haha, this one Xiao has long wanted to exchange pointers with young Miss Lu. Xiao Junyao laughed heartily. This time, there was still an elderly man sitting on the pillar. He looked at the two of them expressionlessly and said, The battle starts now. The rules are the same as before. After he finished speaking, Xiao Junyao cupped his hands and bowed towards Lu Muyin. Young Miss Lu, please. All right. The two of them mobilized the elemental energy in their bodies. Xiao Junyao took out a brush, drew a few Tao seals in the air, splashed ink at will, and a few characters carrying elemental energy spun out and shot straight at Lu Muyan. Lu Muyan's eyes flashed slightly in surprise. She didn't expect Xiao Junyao to be a Confucian cultivator one. The elemental energy characters he condensed carried an aura of righteousness. Such methods were very rare in this continent, while they belonged to a separate method of cultivation in the immortal cultivation world. Lu Muyan took a step back. She waved her hands like fluttering butterfly wings as she formed seals, and the speed was so fast that one couldn't see her movements clearly. Then jade-colored runes emerged from her body, forming a rune belt that tightly bound those words in midair, making them unable to advance even half a step. Xiao Junyao still had a gentle, elegant smile on his face. He pointed his 2 fingers towards a brush. The brush kept splashing ink midair, and ink-colored strokes freely combined, finally forming a realistic landscape painting that was faintly visible in the air. The majestic mountain in the painting immediately seemed to come alive. After he inserted elemental energy, it flew out of the painting and landed, hovering on top of Lu Muyan's head. Seeing that he used the Confucian Taoism so skillfully, Lu Muyan understood what Mo Yin said before, that there was no bottleneck for those with a psychic constitution when learning skills. Although Xiao Junyao's Confucius Taoist skills wasn't at the great achievement realm, but he could still use it to such an extent at such an age. In the immortal cultivation world, one must at least be a core formation stage cultivator to be able to work it like this. Her eyes were sparkling bright, with a smile of admiration on her lips. A green flute appeared in her hand. She placed the emerald green flute on her lips and blew it gently. A melodious and cheerful tune jumped out of the flute, and the mountain that had fallen above her head danced with the flute. The flowers and trees in the landscape painting also swayed to the rhythm of the flute as if they were dancing cheerfully. Only then did Xiao Junyao's expression change. He naturally heard that the flute had a bewitching effect. He almost fell into that kind of joy just now. If he hadn't carried that treasure on him, he might have lost. The sword masters in front of the crystal wall were also stunned. Is this really a battle? Why do I feel like they're competing in arts battles of the zither, chess, poems, and paintings? Yeah, Lu Muyan even knows sonic wave attacks. Her talent is too heaven-defying. Xiao Junyao's most powerful path of Confucianism seems to be suffering in her hands. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks on the battlefield. Xiao Junyao's gaze changed. As if he had made a decision, he kept forming seals before his chest and chanted. Immediately, he poured all his elemental energy into the brush that was still swaying in the air. The brush flickered instantly. The style of painting changed, and wind blades were drawn from under his brush one after another, breaking through the air towards her. The wind blade was not like ordinary sword aura wind blades, but instead it possessed incomparable frost and cold. If the brush didn't stop, the wind blade would continue. Then the brush hooked, and the cold wind blew and howled. It didn't appear like a picture at all, as it all condensed into a solid form. The dual attributes of wind and ice. Indeed really good, but they're not enough. Lu Muyan chuckled, unbridled. The style of tune changed, and a song reminding one of shining spears and armored horses at war poured out of the flute. The ink painting that danced in the air also gradually disappeared on this battle platform with the change of style, without a trace. Then she put away the flute in her hand, and 10 golden lights flashed out from her sleeve, blocking her front directly. When the wind blade was mixed with the cold wind and attacked, she formed a few Taoist seals and quickly inserted them into the flying swords. The 10 flying swords hummed as if they were alive and shot out in an instant, continuously dancing in midair, its speed rising and rising, until a golden light flickered, as if the flying swords grew golden wings fluttering about. The 10 golden swords' rotation rapidly increased and finally turned into 100 golden butterflies, fluttering their wings and headed towards the wind blades. The two collided, and for a moment, neither gave in. But at this time, Lu Mu Yin moved. She used flash steps, her figure continuously flickering on the battle stage. Then she struck Xiao Junyao with her palm one after another. Xiao Junyao's combat power in Taoism was very strong, but his physical strength was far from Lu Mu Yan's. While he had to control the brush to create wind blades, he had to avoid Lu Mu Yan's palm wind, which caused him extreme misery. He had long expected that Lu Mu Yin wasn't simple, but he didn't expect her to have so many tricks. These tricks she played against him today had never been shown at all, which made him unable to guard against her. Lu Mu Yan's mental energy was very strong, and it was nothing to split her focus into three. She constantly flashed back and forth around Xiao Jun Yao using her flash steps. Each time Xiao Jun Yao used his mental energy to detect her figure, take out his long sword, and slash towards it, he only ever cut past numerous afterimages. Suddenly, Xiao Jun Yao felt a strong aura approaching from behind him. He knew that if he spun around, it would be an immediate defeat. He hurriedly shifted his feet to the side, but a jade-colored rune belt unexpectedly emerged from beneath his feet, tightly binding them. Pu! A palm struck him, and after Xiao Jun Yao was struck, the jade belt around his feet loosened. He retreated back more than a dozen meters, but when he was just about to fall off the battle platform, he finished pinching the seals, and an ice wall suddenly appeared behind him to block his body. Lu Mu Yin wasn't disappointed. Xiao Jun Yao's ice attribute element comprehension had clearly arrived at the bottleneck to the great achievement realm and was much stronger than He Su Feng. She stretched out a hand and tapped toward the ice wall Xiao Jun Yao slammed into. Fireballs the size of wash basins fell heavily, one after another, without any rest. The fireballs smashed the ice wall and melted it into water vapor, while Xiao Junyao dodged the fireballs falling from above his head clumsily and in a sorry state. At this time, the golden butterflies fluttered their wings even quicker, tossing themselves towards the cold wind blades to disperse them. Xiao Junyao had already exhausted a lot of elemental energy, and it became difficult to continue to control the brush right now. Lu Mu Yin seized the opportunity, smiled, put her hands together, then separated them again. Suddenly, a vine made of wood elemental energy condensation emerged from beneath the stage and quickly wrapped around Xiao Junyao's feet, pulling hard. Xiao Junyao, who was on the edge of the stage, dodging the attacking fireballs and golden butterflies in a sorry state, was taken by surprise and tugged by the vine, falling directly off the battle stage. One guessed Confucius existed in their world, too, haha. I wanted to use the word scholar because the word used here has the archaic meaning of scholar. However, in the part where I translated it as Confucius Taoism, the actual Chinese is, from my understanding, is only related to Confucius and should have been the author's intent. I could be wrong, but we'll be sticking with Confucius. Chapter 311. Begin a bet, as Xiao Junyao was dodging Lu Mu Yan's variety of attacks. An unexpected vine suddenly entangled his feet. He couldn't avoid it in time and was pulled, landing heavily below the battle platform. The elderly man on the pillar gave Lu Mu Yin a thoughtful look and announced the result. Lu Mu Yin wins, entering the final round. The mechanical voice immediately resounded in the building. Lu Mu Yin wins. On another battle platform, Luo Yi and Chu Han won. When hearing this sound, couldn't help but be surprised. Lu Mu Yin actually beat Xiao Junyao. Chu Han looked at the silver-clothed, brocade man with a grim expression, and a faint smile rose on his stern face. Since they've already decided the winner, then there's no need to delay here. Take out your all to fight me at your strongest. All right. Luo Yes' unhurried voice was very pleasant. After watching the battle between Lu Mu Yin and Xiao Junyao, the sword masters in front of the crystal wall were once again dumbfounded. He lost just like that? One of Xiao Junyao's team members said in disbelief. This is too unexpected. Lu Mu Yin can defeat Xiao Junyao. I feel so unreal right now. One of them touched his chest and said, Lu Mu Yin's various tricks and methods are too many. Xiao Junyao just couldn't guard against it at all. Someone complained, having so many tricks and methods is because Lu Mu Yin has that ability. If it were you all, can you make Xiao Junyao be in such a sorry state? People who had already developed admiration for Lu Mu Yin retorted, "That's right. Xiao Junyao didn't lose wrongfully." "What do you mean? Didn't you see that from the very beginning, the battle situation was all under Lu Mu Yan's control? The more Xiao Junyao fought, the more of a sorry state he's in, but Lu Mu Yan's still so calm like the wind and clouds. Even if he didn't lose now, as time goes by, his elemental energy wouldn't be able to support the consumption from his magic tool, and he'd inevitably be knocked down by Lu Mu Yin." An elite sword master of a superpower kingdom said slowly. "You really can't tell just by looking. Lu Mu Yin, this woman, hides so deeply." Many people sighed within. Lu Mu Yin hides deeply, and the one named Chu Han hides even more deeply. Look, Luo Yes injured by him. Luo Yi actually lost. Just what's Chu Han's background? He hasn't even pulled out his giant sword on his back. The biggest dark horse this year is probably Chu Han. There'll be an interesting show to watch when Lu Mu Yin meets Chu Han. When these two dark horses collide, who do you think will win? Naturally, Chu Han. Don't you see that he acts cleanly and decisively in each battle, and his strength hasn't even been fully exerted? He's ruthless and accurate in dealing with each opponent. Such an opponent is too scary. I'm also optimistic about Chu Han. Under absolute strength, all kinds of tricks may not be effective. I'm actually more optimistic about Lu Mu Yin. After all, she's always been able to amaze us since the beginning of this competition space. Chu Han has been firmly first place since the first round. To say that he's also amazing isn't too much either. He just doesn't have as much gossip as Lu Mu Yin, and his reputation isn't as loud as hers either. After Luo Yi lost to Chu Han, the sword masters present were discussing who would win the match between Lu Mu Yin and Chu Han. One of the sword masters who loved to gamble opened a bet, and 2/3 of the people bought Chu Han's win. Although Lu Mu Bai and the others didn't like to gamble, but they believed in Lu Mu Yin, so they bet all their belongings down on her. Watching the group of people betting in the big room, the personnel of the organizers who were guarding all around were also itching. Come and read on our website, Wuxia World site. Thanks, there were also small bets in private, and most of them were betting on Chu Han winning. In fact, most people thinking that Chu Han would win was also justified. First, Chu Han's cultivation base was at advanced phase sword sovereign. Lu Mu Yin was an advanced phase sword monarch. He was an entire stage higher than her. Second, Chu Han was vigorous and resolute in his previous battles. He had few tricks, but were all extremely effective, with huge momentum, and his attacks were very ruthless. Meanwhile, Lu Mu Yin, despite all her various tricks, always gave people a feeling that her true strength wasn't that good, and she just didn't win as thrillingly perilous. After all, most of the sword masters present were used to fighting with magic tools and elemental energy. Layers after layers of means like Lu Mu Yan's couldn't be played out by them at all. Therefore, deep-rooted in their hearts, they all believed that Chu Han's fighting style was the embodiment of true strength. Lu Mu Yan's methods, short-term, may be successful, but once others were prepared for it, it would be difficult to win using them. Tomorrow, Lu Mu Yin and Chu Han will fight. The other two groups will fight first. The referee's voice sounded timely, although the match was delayed until the next day. But Lu Mu Yin and Chu Han weren't allowed to leave their rooms. After the two of them fought, they started to adjust their status after taking pills. On the same day, the last 5 in the rankings were also decided, but not many people paid attention to it. Sinan and the others left the sealed rooms after their matches and waited with the others to watch the last match on the second day. Of course, as Lu Mu Yan's admirers or friends, they naturally spent a lot of money to bet that Lu Mu Yin would win. First, they just felt that Lu Mu Yin wouldn't lose so easily. If they bet on her, she had more than half of the possibility of winning. Right now, the odds were 1 to 5. If they won, then their winnings would flip 5-fold. Second, if Lu Mu Yin, that petty and sly woman, came out and found that they bet on Chu Han instead of her, she would definitely beat them up one by one. What treatment and buying pills after that? They definitely would all just become imaginary. In the central castle, the elders of the 6 major sects weren't calm anymore. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Lu Muyin and Chu Han would actually be the last to compete for first place. An elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace couldn't help but sigh. Xiao Junyao was already an official pupil of the Heavenly Secret Palace, and they always had high hopes for him. The original certainty of him entering the top 3 just flew away like this. In the competition for the 3rd place, Luo Yi defeated Xiao Junyao too, which was acceptable, but the sudden appearance of Chu Han and Lu Muyin caught them by surprise. I've already said that this girl, Lu Muyin, would definitely amaze and shock everyone, but you old things didn't believe me. The strong and sturdy elder of the 8 Extremes sect laughed, then looked askance at the elders present. Humph! What are you being so smug for? Even if Lu Muyin wins the championship, she still won't be your 8 Extremes sect's pupil. The vast mountain sect's elder snorted coldly. Between Chu Han and Lu Muyin, he was still more optimistic about Chu Han. Compared to Lu Muyin, Chu Han was the sword master that wanted to spend the larger effort trying to win over. Even if Lu Muyin doesn't choose the 8 Extremes sect, she wouldn't choose your sect that only knows how to use brute force. The elder of the 8 Extremes sect and the elder of the Vast Mountain sect hadn't liked each other for a long time. So don't argue anymore. Lu Muyin, a woman, just use the wood attribute elemental energy. She's most suitable to come to our medicine sect to learn alchemy. Enough. As for the belonging of Lu Muyin and Chu Han, they must have already made a choice in their hearts. No matter how much you quarrel, it's useless. Seeing that the elders of the several major sects were arguing about the candidates again, the wise elder from the Heavenly Secret Palace furrowed his brows slightly to stop them. Not only in the Heavenly Secret Palace, but even among the 6 major sects, he was an extremely prestigious existence. So after he opened his mouth, the elders of each sect no longer quarreled about snatching people. Humph! How Shan, old man? Do you dare to gamble with me? The elder of the 8 Extremes sect couldn't help but provoke the elder of the Vast Mountain sect when he saw that the juniors started gambling. See, I'm pretty sure Chu Han was meant to have had a bye, but now he's battling Luo Yi, so, well, I'm pretty sure author made a slight mistake. XD2 seems like author corrected it here, ha ha ha. Chapter 312. Battle Chu Han. The elders of the 5 other sects here obviously didn't expect that the elder of the 8 Extremes sect would open his mouth to provoke, and their eyes revealed a look of watching a good show. The elder of the Vast Mountain sect sneered. How should we bet? As if he'd be afraid of this damned old man from the 8 Extremes sect. Chu Han's strength wasn't as simple as he revealed in the competition just now. Even if Lu Muyin had some ability, she definitely wouldn't win. I bet that Lu Muyin wins. The elder of the 8 Extremes sect said without hesitation, Didn't you want my peak quality beast blood for a long time? If I lose to you, ITLL be yours. All right, I'll bet Chu Han wins. The elder of the Vast Mountain sect was also unequivocal. If you win, they'll give you the advanced level array chart I obtained before. It's a deal. Both of them were satisfied with the bet and immediately high-fived to sign off the contract. Do you all also want to make a bet? The elder of the 8 Extremes sect turned his eyes and looked at the elders of the other sects with a smile. The elders of the other sects were also interested, but as representatives of their own sects, it was obviously inappropriate to learn from the juniors and gather together to start betting. They weren't as shameless as these 2 people, so they all refused. A day passed in a hurry, and the day only just lit up when the voice of the judge sounded in the building. Now, the last battle will begin. Rules as usual. Lu Muyin and Chu Han opened their closed eyes respectively, got up, and walked into the last room. The 2 stepped onto the stage at the same time, and only then did Lu Muyin raise her head to scrutinize Chu Han, this powerful opponent. He was dressed in an entirely black outfit. His facial features were angular and cold, and there was a storm hidden in his dark eyes, but he possessed a wild and uninhibited temperament on him. He was like a king who had been at the top for many years. He was like an eagle that lurked in the dark night, with a powerful momentum, waiting for an opportunity to soar into the sky. Chu Han was definitely the strongest person she had ever met in the competition space. While Lu Mu Yin was scrutinizing Chu Han was also blatantly scrutinizing her. She had a stunning appearance and a carefree, otherworldly temperament, as well as an arrogant uninhibitedness that carried a domineering disposition melded well together. This sort of contradiction was very attractive. This woman seemed to be covered by a veil, looming, easily swaying people's hearts, and one couldn't help but want to lift the veil in person. This one is Chu Han. Chu Han's voice was indifferent and coldly proud. Lu Mu Yin smiled faintly, her voice clear. Lu Mu Yin, you are the opponent I most wanted to meet in this space. Use all your strength to fight me. A battle intent rose in Chu Han's eyes slowly. Lu Mu Yin's jet-black eyes were dotted with stars, her fighting intent rising, and her red lips parted lightly. All right. She believed that today's battle with Chu Han would be a hearty fight. The two of them, who were both filled with fighting intent, didn't notice that the man who was shrouded in black mist in the pendant on Lu Mu Yan's neck suddenly opened his eyes. He looked at the Chu Han with a gaze of unknown emotions, and after a while, he closed his eyes again, and the black mist churned to cover his entire figure. The battle begins. Whichever side falls off the stage or admits defeat, the opponent will win the championship in this Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony. This time, the elderly man sitting cross-legged on the stone pillar was precisely the main judge. He glanced at the two of them lightly and announced the start. Chu Han moved first. His entire body was filled with explosive power, and he ran towards Lu Mu Yin quickly, with a faint layer of black flames covering his hands. When he approached, he raised his fist and bombarded Lu Mu Yin with punches one after another. Lu Mu Yin took a few steps back and used flash steps to dodge quickly, her eyes filled with interest, a bit interesting. Unexpectedly, Chu Han was also a body cultivator with a spirit flame. Her blood began to boil, and the strong fighting intent filled every bit of her body. Another punch slammed down, and Lu Mu Yin spun and met it with her punch. Bang, bang. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Fang's fists collided with fists, and there were crisp sounds on the battle platform. Refreshing. Again, a flash of happiness appeared on Chu Han's cold face. It had been a long time since he fought with his fists like this, and he liked the impact of the power. Lu Mu Yin was also a little bit similar to Chu Han in this regard. The figures of the two flickered back and forth around the entire battle platform, and every time they appeared, there would be a collision of fists. Boom, boom. The two fists fought for no less than hundreds of rounds. Aside from the stone pillar on which the judge sat cross-legged, the other three were actually affected by the force of the bombardments and cracked countless crevices. There was a constantly crackling sound in the space, and the scalp of the people watching grew numb. The two of them are so violent. A sword master watching the battle by the crystal wall couldn't help but click their tongue in admiration. The others also shrank their necks. Bombarding with their bodies with such intensity, if one weren't tough enough, they would have definitely long been killed. They had long heard that Lu Mu Yin sometimes fought very violently, and she spoke directly with her fists when fighting demonic beasts, but they never thought that her force would be this powerful. Of course, Chu Han was also very violent. He didn't show this kind of close-quarters combat when he fought with others before. Judging from the expressions on the faces of the two they occasionally revealed, they had met their match, and their fighting spirit was high. Their bodies are as tough as Tier 7 demonic beasts. I think that's close. Chu Han's a man, so liking such a way of battle is indeed gallant. But how can Lu Mu Yin, a woman, like this kind of fighting style? Lu Oli glanced at the person who spoke. Lu Mu Yin is also very gallant. At least she's more comfortable to look at than those delicate women who only hide behind men. This was in the eyes of the lover. His beloved was a beauty. Lu Mu Yan's violent behavior indeed didn't look crude. In fact, when the two bombarded each other, they couldn't help but feel their blood boil too. But whoever took her home to marry sure would have some things to deal with. With one wrong, wouldn't they be served with a fist? Just thinking about it made them unable to resist shuddering. Of course, many people also appreciated her toughness. After all, violent and wild beauties were also very popular on this continent. The two bombarded each other for hundreds of more rounds, and the battle platform actually began to feel shaky. Seeing this, the judge on the pillar patted the pillar beneath him, and a ray of light flew out. The three stone pillars that were cracked began to heal, and the battle platform was supported once again. Pu. The final punch they threw out at each other struck the other's shoulders, and the two of them stepped back together, spraying out a mouthful of blood. The two waved their fists and palms, and they used all kinds of close-quarters combat skills, but they couldn't directly defeat the other party. We won't be able to tell the winner until dawn. I heard that you're good at swordsmanship. How about we compete with swords? Chu Han reached out and wiped the blood from his lips, his whole body aroused with fighting intent. The last time in the melee fight with demonic beasts, he saw Lu Muyin fight close-quarters combat, but he didn't expect her physical strength and fighting skills to be no weaker than his, and was even better than him in terms of her footwork. If it weren't for the fact that he had just absorbed and refined a bottle of advanced-level beast blood before the finals, and his physique had been further improved, he probably would have been defeated in the direct bombardment just now. Lu Muyin wiped the blood from the corners of her lips, appearing happy. "I'll accompany you to the end." It was rare to meet an opponent who could match her. How could she not fight with all her heart? She didn't think at first that Chu Han wasn't only just a body cultivator, but also a sword cultivator. She hadn't yet used that set of sword techniques that she had mastered from that Earth rank sword skill. Today, it was perfect to test it out on Chu Han. Chapter 313. Completely pissed off, the two of them unanimously removed the spirit flames covering their hands and took a few steps back each. Chu Han didn't pull out the giant sword he was carrying, but with a thought, a silver-white longsword was held in his hand, and there was a layer of Sanskrit flowing around the sword. Lu Muyin beckoned with a wave of her hand, and a golden longsword fell in her hand with a soft hum, a feeling of unity between human and sword. "They're going to sword fight," one of the sword masters watching by the crystal wall exclaimed. "Could they attack our self-esteem any more than this? These two aren't only body cultivators, but also sword cultivators. Can't they let us elites of our own kingdoms live a bit?" One person couldn't help but shout. "They're also array masters and smiths. Comparing oneself to another could definitely infuriate oneself to death." "Who's a smith?" Lu Muyin was an array master that they knew. "Of course it's Chu Han. My paternal grandfather is the elder of the outer pavilion of the smithing pavilion." According to him, Chu Han has already obtained the badge of a grade 3 smith. Lu Muyin is also a grade 3 array master. It seems their talents are similar. They're similar, but it's not like we can compare. Look, they're starting. On the platform, snowflakes filled the sky. Two figures, one black and one purple, stood independently. Each time the snowflakes fell on the sides of the two, they would automatically separate without sticking to their clothes. Lu Muyin's eyes revealed a slight look of surprise. Chu Han's ice elemental energy attribute had also reached the great achievement realm. Chu Han lifted his silver longsword, and layers of water rushed towards her. The sword aura condensed into countless water waves and drowned Lu Muyin's entire body. Immediately, the blue water waves quickly froze into ice beneath the swing of the silver longsword. Lu Muyin stood quietly. Her beautiful face, through the whitened ice statue, was like an otherworldly female celestial. What? Lu Muyin was trapped by Chu Han as an ice sculpture with just one move. The people in the hall couldn't help but feel nervous. Lu Muyin was trapped, yet they felt that it wouldn't end that easily. Lu Mu Bai and the others all revealed incomparable worry in their eyes. Chu Han's ice elemental energy attribute had obviously reached great achievement, and he had many means. Lu Muyan's cultivation base was one entire stage beneath his and was her biggest weakness. She wouldn't just lose like this, right? Right when everyone was confused, they only heard a crack from the ice sculpture. The ice enveloping Lu Muyan broke inch by inch, then a green vine emerged from her feet. After bursting the frost open, the green vine gradually extended and grew with luxuriant branches and leaves. The plants under the ground emerged and grew against the wind and snow. After a few breaths of time, the green plants bloomed with large flowers, fresh and beautiful, forming a stunning scenery in the fluttering wind and snow. Lu Muyan's wood attribute elemental energy actually also reached the great achievement realm. Heavens! Someone in the hall's eyes widened and couldn't resist shouting in shock. Chu Han's pupil shrank. He knew that Lu Muyan had the fire and metal elemental energy attribute. After guessing that she was an alchemist, he also thought that she could also comprehend the wood attribute elemental energy. However, he had never imagined that although her wood attribute elemental energy wasn't as strong as her fire attribute, but it had also reached the great achievement realm. Such talent was exceptionally rare. In the central castle, the elder of the medicine sect suddenly stood up and stared at the battle platform intently. Lu Muyan not only had the dual talent of fire and wood attributes, but also comprehended both until the great achievement realm. Such aptitude could be compared with that genius of the medicine sect. If she concentrated on cultivating alchemy, then it wasn't impossible to be promoted to a grade 6 alchemist in the future. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Lu Muyan smiled slightly, and the golden longsword slipped from her hand, spun in midair, then turned into countless golden butterflies and landed atop the bright flowers. The butterflies fluttered their wings with the swaying of the flowers in the wind and snow, and a little bit of dark green powder fanned out from the butterflies' wings. After a while, the originally beautiful scenery changed instantly. The room filled with snowflakes gradually turned black, and finally turned into droplets of black water that fell to the ground. Clusters of flames drilled out from the ground, instantly burning and vaporizing them. Chu Han's silver longsword shone with a cold light, like a silver dragon dancing, roaring out, blasting out a series of icy hurricanes at the flowers and butterflies. The flowers were blown up and down, and soon a thick layer of frost formed. The butterflies fluttered their wings, turning into tiny golden specks. Suddenly, behind Chu Han, a golden longsword slashed down from the air, its sword aura breaking through the air with astonishing power. Chu Han was startled and waved his silver longsword to greet it. Clang! The golden sword and silver sword interlaced, creating a sharp sound. Crack! An astonishing scene appeared. After the silver longsword in Chu Han's hand clashed against the golden longsword, it quickly lost its luster in an astonishing manner, as if breaking rotting wood, and finally cracks formed inch by inch on the sword. The mysterious Sanskrit light wound around the silver sword was covered in a layer of dark green powder, and the sword lost its liveliness. Lu Muyan, from the moment you used the wood attribute elemental energy condensation, you've already planned to use poisonous powder to corrode my silver sword, right? Chu Han's eyes were grim as he gripped the silver sword that had lost complete connection with him, then spoke slowly. Lu Muyan snapped her fingers, and the golden sword turned into a golden butterfly and landed on her shoulder, flapping its wings, lifelike. The sword body transformation was precisely the sword technique that she had learnt through mastering a set in that earth-rank sword skill. Clever. When she was in the spiritual world, she majored in the cultivation of the dual elements of wood and fire. In addition, alchemists required those two attributes. In the continuous upgrade of her alchemy, she naturally had a deeper understanding of the wood attribute. The green mist sea in her dantian had the effect of bringing forth spring to withered trees, so the wood attribute entered the great achievement realm without much tough practice and insight. Her pill flame also refined many highly poisonous fusions, So what she used her would attribute elemental energy condensation to make could all be dyed with poison. After she refined the venom sac of that peak phase tier 7 snake demon last time, the poison in the pill flame had also mutated, and it could corrode magic tools beneath Saint Treasure, so that's why she revealed her talent in the wood attribute and condensed plants. The butterflies transformed from the sword body was naturally stained with that kind of corrosive poison too. After Chu Han pulled out his sword, it shattered into gold powder and adhered to the silver sword. Of course, the poison wouldn't cause any corrosion damage to her natal magic tool. Lu Muyin, I really underestimated you. Chu Han put away the silver longsword that had been mostly destroyed, and a nameless anger rose from his chest. Lu Muyin smiled lightly. You're a smith. I believe you can re-refine the silver longsword. With my corrosive poisonous power, maybe you might have unexpected gains. I also gave you this fortuitous opportunity because I fought a hardy battle with you before. Don't misunderstand my kindness. She added with a half-smile. If Chu Han re-sacrifices the sword body with the poison, the quality of the sword would definitely be improved by 1 level, and it may even produce unexpected effects. The corner of Chu Han's mouth twitched. She was doing this for him? He spent 5 years refining this silver sword through blood and sweat. Now that most of it had been destroyed, it would take him at least another half a year to re-refine it. Of course, the benefits she said did exist, and it made him interested. So when the sword was destroyed, he was only angered, but didn't have the urge to kill. This woman really had the ability to piss people off, but not need to pay for it with her life. Chapter 314. Deep-sea profound ice iron. The sword fight between Chu Han and Lu Muyin surprised and shocked the audience. In the central castle, the elders of the sword sect stared at the two of them fixedly. A smile rose on his originally serious expressions. Good seedlings. He decided inwardly that no matter what, he would win the two of them over into the sword sect after the finals. Others might not be able to understand, but when they were using sword skills, the sword realm that was naturally triggered by the two wasn't something that ordinary sword cultivators would comprehend. The elders of the other sects glanced at him. They naturally knew whether they were good seedlings or not. He didn't need to remind them. However, because of the previous warning from the elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace, this time, the elders didn't quarrel over the matter of the two, but secretly had their own plans. With the talent that Lu Muyin and Chu Han were revealing now, if they wanted to get them into the sect, then they would have to increase their stakes. On the battle platform, Chu Han's long and slim eyes narrowed and said, Lu Muyin, being able to force me to use Yin Feng, you are indeed very good. Yin Feng? Is that the giant sword on your back? Lu Muyin could hear that Chu Han bore slight emotion towards the name Yin Feng. Yes, I haven't used it for 3 years. In the competition space, you're the first to make it reappear. Chu Han nodded. Lu Muyin chuckled. Then isn't it a great honor for me? The giant sword on Chu Han's back was extraordinary. That was her first impression after seeing Chu Han. Lu Muyin, I will use my all, and I hope you also don't hold back any longer. Chu Han pulled out the giant sword from its scabbard, and an aura of deep coldness instantly spread across the entire battle platform. All right, Lu Muyin replied decisively. She would respect an opponent like Chu Han. If he could really force out her trump cards, then she would reveal it in front of everyone. After Chu Han drew his sword, a sword master watching the battle turned pale with fright and shouted, Deep sea, profound ice iron. No wonder he didn't use this sword easily. So it turns out that his sword is made of deep sea, profound ice iron. Someone stared at Chu Han's black giant sword that glowed with a cold light fiercely. Luo Yi smiled bitterly. So he still had such a means. Big brother, will Lu Muyin lose? Luo Li asked anxiously. From what can be seen, she and Chu Han are comparable in strength. But it's not easy to infer after Chu Han uses his giant sword made of deep-sea, profound ice iron. After all, towards Chu Han, who cultivates ice attribute skills, the weapon can not only increase his elemental energy attribute, but his sword and body could also unify. Luo Yi said calmly. The grade of the deep-sea profound ice iron was no worse than Lu Muyan's longsword made from heavenly frost golden crystal. And in fact, it was even better in terms of the amplification effect. After all, Lu Muyan's longsword was the metal attribute, but she was at great achievement in both fire and wood attributes. Naturally, the amplification effect was relatively small and couldn't exert its strongest power. The deep-sea profound ice iron was an extremely rare Earth-rank spiritual item. Hidden in the deep sea, was very difficult to find, and naturally carried a deep coldness. As long as the cultivation base of the swordmaster who wielded it rose, their comprehension of the ice attribute reached the perfection realm. After the human and sword unified as one could even freeze up to 1,000 li. On the double-edged sword in Chu Han's hand, there were engravings of intricate patterns, which could make one dizzy if they looked too closely. It was obviously a hidden high-level array, made of deep-sea profound ice iron, and there's also an array and restriction enhanced by a Grade 4 array master. If your sword was re-refined with heavy water, it could probably reach the level of peak quality Saint Treasure. Lu Muhan couldn't resist complimenting as well. 4 sword masters who cultivated ice attribute elemental skills. Natal magic tools made of deep-sea profound ice iron could definitely rank in the top 3 of their first choice. Come and read on our website, Wuxia World site. Thanks, her ice attribute comprehension was only a beginner's realm. And even if she had deep-sea profound ice iron, she wouldn't be able to control that icy aura. But she could consider it in the future. After all, she could comprehend all the laws of heaven and earth, and her natal magic tool also needed all attributes. The corner of Chu Han's lips twitched. Heavy water was a spiritual item that even a sword saint powerhouse needed to spend decades to refine. It even required the sword master to be proficient in the water elemental energy attribute. Why was it that when she said it, it was as easy as eating? Do you have any heavy water, Miss Lu? I can buy it at a high price. Lu Mu Yin raised an eyebrow and said with a smile, I can consider selling one to you after I refine it in the future. This sentence even made a cold person like Chu Han roll his eyes. Could a sword master, who couldn't even comprehend the water elemental law, even refine heavy water? What a joke. His pupils shanked slightly. Could it be that Lu Mu Yin also possessed the water elemental energy law? Then he shook his head. Lu Mu Yin was already a 3-attribute swordmaster at such a young age. How could she even comprehend the water element? If she really was so talented, then truly, couldn't she let the sword masters of the younger generation live a bit? Then this one will wait for young Miss Lao's heavy water. Although Chu Han didn't think Lu Mu Yin could really make it, but he didn't reveal it on his face. All right, let's not speak any more nonsense. Let's keep fighting. Lu Mu Yin nodded with a smile. As long as she broke through the foundation establishment stage and condensed her golden core, and more deeply comprehend the water attribute elemental energy that had already reached the understanding realm for a bit of time to the great achievement realm, then it wouldn't be difficult for her to refine heavy water. Chu Han didn't say more either. He held the dark hilt with both his hands and waved it a few times in the air. The double-edged sword made from deep-sea profound ice iron was very heavy and required a strong physique to use. This was also one of the reasons why he worked hard on cultivating body skills. The giant sword only swung a few times, and the temperature around suddenly dropped. A thin layer of ice instantly covered the battle platform. The icy sword aura formed vortexes after vortexes and swept towards Lu Mu Yin. The ice attribute sword aura this time wasn't something the previous snowflakes could compare to. It was simply the comparison between the bright light of the moon and the light of fireflies. Wherever the vortexes went, there was no omission of ice. This time, Lu Mu Yin didn't wait for the ice to hit her like last time. She gestured a few strange Taoist seals with her hands in the air, and the golden longsword in front of her instantly transformed into a golden wall to temporarily block the vortexes before her. Then she tapped her toes, retreated a few meters, and jumped onto a stone pillar. Standing on the stone pillar, she continued to form seals. When the golden wall was frozen by the ice and frost, although the vortexes were weakened slightly, but it was still raging as it attacked. With a flip of her hand, a cluster of orange flames leapt in her palm. In the middle of the orange flame, there was a faint cyan light beating, as if it couldn't wait to jump out. You really do have a spirit flame. Chu-Han narrowed his eyes slightly, his expression sinking. As soon as Lu Mu Yan's orange flame appeared, the surrounding temperature rose exponentially, enveloping the icy cold. Go! Orange firebirds flew out of her palms one after the other continuously, raised their heads, made a long cry, and flew towards the vortexes. The icy cold aura of the vortexes quickly dodged after the firebirds swooped over, as if it had encountered some natural enemy, and wisps of steam emerged. The firebirds' humanized eyes revealed a ferocious light, obviously not going to let go of the vortexes that were dodging, and one by one, they flew into them like moths to a flame. Chapter 3:15 Tragic Victory, Win the Championship. Chu-Han felt the trembling from the icy air in the vortexes. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Firebirds threw themselves into the ice vortexes one after the other. Instead of being slaughtered by the ice, however, they melted the vortexes into a pool of water. A moment later, when Chu-Han opened his eyes again, there was actually faint dark light in his eyes. A cluster of black flames flew out of his eyes and landed in the center of the battlefield. Then he started to brandish the sword based on instinct. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were solemn. She knew that Chu-Han's trump cards were all revealed. He also had a spirit flame, and the black flame on him should be the companion flame that grew with the deep-sea, profound ice iron, so it was exceptionally cold. But fortunately, the energy in his spirit flame was slightly inferior to that of the orange blaze, and it could compare even less to the purple-gold spirit flame. But she was only going to expose the orange blaze trump card today. The purple-gold spirit flame couldn't be revealed for the time being. As soon as the black scorch appeared, the surrounding temperature gradually dropped again, and it stopped when it reached a balance. Chu-Han's giant sword repeatedly waved around, and black sword lights burst out, forming thousands of phantoms that all fell towards Lu Mu Yan with lingering coldness. Lu Mu Yan's metal attribute, elemental energy attribute, only touched the edge of the Great Achievement Realm and couldn't be compared with the ice attribute, elemental energy of Chu-Han's that was after the Great Achievement Realm. In addition, due to the enhancement of the deep-sea, profound ice iron giant sword, the golden longsword that was frozen earlier could no longer be used flexibly. Her expression chilled, and with a thought, she pointed to the sky twice. Instantly, a cloud of red flames and a cloud of green mist loomed in midair, turning into two huge axes. They slashed down heavily at the thousands of sword shadows that spurred towards her. An axe with a blazing flame and an axe with green auras surrounding it with vitality. This was the condensation of her two primary elemental energy attributes of fire and wood at Great Achievement Realm. The thousands of black sword shadows and two axes were at a stalemate in midair, and they were evenly matched. Neither side could immediately annihilate the other. Chu-Han released the huge sword in his hand and allowed it to control the sword shadows in the air. He, himself, took a step forward, and the black scorch in the center of the battle platform that was clashing against the orange flame returned to his hand. One of his hands constantly formed Taoist seals, and the other condensed the black scorch into a dark ball of light, its power transmitting out from his hand. The dark ball of light was covered with a layer of fluorescent light, which looked as bright as obsidian, but with a destructive aura, and it steadily converged within the ball of light. Lu Mu Yan, let's decide the outcome with one move. Chu-Han raised his head and looked at Lu Mu Yan deeply. At this time, Lu Mu Yan also condensed an orange light ball, and a cyan blue cluster of light sparks flickered in the center of it. All right, that's exactly what I was thinking. Chu-Han's trump cards were all out while she couldn't reveal too much. The orange blaze was also considered her trump card, which would make people feel amazed and fearful, but it wouldn't make them want to kill her. But if she released her purple gold spirit flame and the golden needles made from heavenly frost golden essence, then perhaps some high-level powerhouses would aim for both her spirit flame and her golden essence with the intention of looting and killing. The purple gold spirit flame had evolved after swallowing the orange blaze and the venom sac, and was now something that the two spirit flames currently used in battle could not compare to. Even those powerhouses above Sword Saint would definitely be tempted when they saw it. The dark ball of light and the orange ball of light came out from the hands of the two simultaneously. The black sword shadows and the two giant axes in the air were shining brightly as well, only wanting to attack each other immediately. As soon as the two balls of light came into contact, the air of ice and aura of scorching heat instantly scurried in this space, and a dazzling light covered the entire battlefield. Boom, boom. The battle platform and stone pillars that had been enhanced finally collapsed under the influence of the power of the two balls. Even the stone pillar under the judge began to climb with cracks, and finally turned into rubble with a huge crash. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World Site. Thanks, the judge flew away to dodge. Seeing that the whole building began to shake, his expressionless face couldn't resist but change, and he immediately raised a yellow flag. As soon as the array flag was raised, a light cover with strong, pressuring energy surrounded the battlefield. All the power brought by Chu Han and Lu Muyan's two spirit flame balls of light that had merged landed on the light cover and was completely absorbed. After the dazzling rays of light passed, there was dust all around the entire battle platform, and the platform had already collapsed, stones shattered and scattered. Those watching the battle were holding their breaths at this time, quietly waiting for the end of the battle. After a while, the smoke gradually dissipated, and everyone saw a man in black lying on a large rock. At this time, the originally stern-looking, black-clothed man was wearing ragged clothes, his hair disheveled. The skin exposed was covered in blood, and his face was pale while his eyes were filled with disbelief. That's Chu Han? Someone in front of the crystal wall asked in disbelief. Xiao Junyao's expression appeared complicated and sighed. That's indeed Chu Han. His aura is weak now. I'm afraid he's seriously injured. What about Lu Muyan? Someone couldn't help but ask. This was also the question in many people's minds. The elders of the six major sects also stared at the crystal wall fixedly, eagerly wanting to know Lu Muyan's situation. In a bit, a figure slowly walked out of the dust. Her face was pale, and she was holding a dull, golden longsword in her hand. Although the light purple clothes weren't as ragged as Chu Han's, but it was also damaged in several places. The hair that was originally tied was now softly scattered around her waist, making her whole person appear with a kind of delicate beauty. There was still a trace of unwiped blood on her lips. Her expression was light, but her unbridled self-confidence was still naturally unabated. Using the golden sword as a crutch, she walked slowly to Chu Han. Facing his complicated and deep black eyes, she said slowly, "You lost." Lu Muyan's current situation was actually not that good either. Her internal organs were damaged by the power of the black flame just now, and her spiritual energy in her body was basically exhausted. She never underestimated Chu Han from the beginning, but she also didn't expect that the power of his trump cards would be so powerful. If there wasn't the powerful mental energy barrier to support her, and under the condition that she didn't use the purple gold spirit flame, then maybe she would also be as seriously injured as Chu Han, unable to move or even fall unconscious. This time, she did win Chu Han, but it was only a tragic victory, which also made her determination to pursue the path of the strong even stronger. She must become more powerful. Chu Han closed his eyes. He didn't even have the strength to move his fingers, let alone the ability to continue fighting back. Yes, I lost. Although he was convinced by the defeat, but the desire to become stronger only grew in his heart. Lu Muyan was indeed a very strong opponent. Even after all his means and trump cards were used, he still lost. He didn't lose wrongfully. The judge's eyes were filled with surprise. In fact, from the beginning of the battle, he was more optimistic about Chu Han. He didn't expect Lu Muyin to not only have such a variety of tricks, but her strength also shouldn't be underestimated. Her win this time didn't have any loopholes to pick. She really did defeat Chu Han by virtue of her strength. Lu Muyin wins the last match. A seemingly faint mental energy entered this room and sounded in the judge's sea of consciousness. After a moment, with a faint smile on his serious face, he said, "On behalf of the organizers, I announce that the champion of this Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony is Lu Muyin from Yinzhou Kingdom in the Eastern region." At this time, the sword masters in front of the crystal wall were eerily quiet, obviously not having recovered from the battle just now. Chapter 316. Go poke a scarlet bee's nest only after the main judge announced it, there was a burst of inhalation in the hall. Lu Muyin actually won the championship. That's incredible. Yeah, the battle between her and Chu Han was so exciting. I'm still amazed about it when I think of it. The battle between Lu Muyin and Chu Han wasn't only a showdown of strength, but also a battle of minds. The fighting methods used between the two were exceptionally exciting. Even a fight between venerable sword masters might not compare. Lu Muyin was at a disadvantageous position from the beginning due to the disparity in cultivation base, but with her extraordinary mind, she led Chu Han into her game step by step. First, she destroyed the silver longsword he was accustomed to using, then used the advantage of the fire and with dual elemental energy comprehension that she had comprehended to the great achievement stage to hold back Chu Han's 1,000 shadow sword skill he shot from his huge deep-sea, profound ice iron sword. In fact, many of the people present were wondering how Lu Muyin resisted Chu Han's ferocious black flame ball. After all, if it were one of them, if they directly withstood that move, even if they didn't die, they'd be half-crippled. Luo Yi and the others who lost against Chu Han couldn't help but be moved. It turned out that Chu Han was so powerful. They didn't wrongfully lose. But Lu Muyin defeated Chu Han. This also meant that she was stronger than them, and it also aroused the valor of them men. I really didn't expect that, aside from Lord Luo, those who entered the top 3 this time were actually 2 sword masters from little-known small kingdoms, and I have to admit that they're both indeed very strong. An elite genius from a superpower kingdom smiled bitterly. Comparing oneself to another could definitely infuriate oneself to death. We can't envy their talent. Who would have expected that the trump cards of those two are so powerful? Not only are they both sword cultivators, but they also possess spirit flames. Someone said enviously. Presumably, the two of them encountered a fortuitous opportunity before coming into this space. Chu Han's giant sword is made from deep-sea, profound ice iron, and Lu Muyin's golden sword is also refined from heavenly frost golden crystal and various rare spars. If it weren't that her metal attribute elemental energy hadn't reached great achievement realm, otherwise the power of her golden longsword definitely wouldn't be weaker than Chu Han's giant sword. After all, the value of the deep-sea, profound ice iron and the heavenly frost golden crystal are both earth-rank spiritual items. Lu Muyin's natal magic tool was engraved with a small array to hide the material used for refining the sword body. But in the fight with Chu Han, just now, after being frozen by the deep-sea, profound ice iron, the array was damaged, and so also exposed its original form. Therefore, it was normal for smiths above grade 2 to recognize its original appearance. TSK. I only thought that Lu Muyin's golden sword was very powerful before, but I didn't expect it to be made of heavenly frost golden crystal. But why couldn't we recognize it before? Someone asked in confusion. An array master said. She arranged an array on the golden sword. So that's how it is. There was an endless stream of discussions below, all revolving around Lu Muyin and Chu Han. Many even revealed expressions of pain because they had put all their bets on Chu Han. Meanwhile, Sinan and the others happily took the spiritual stones that they won from betting on Lu Muyin. In the central castle, The elder of the 8 extremes sect glowed with an exceptional brilliance, as if he was the one that won. "How shone, old man? Give me the array chart now." As expected, this old man has good eyesight. His old face was like a wrinkled chrysanthemum as he smiled. The elder of the vast mountain sect rolled his eyes, displeased, but still tossed him the set of array charts that he had so much difficulty obtaining with an expression as if his flesh hurt. "Take it." When he was finished, he cursed inwardly. "After lousy digs Lu Mu Yin to the vast mountain sect, they'll make sure you can't even find a place to cry." I really didn't expect that the final winner would be Lu Mu Yin, that little girl. Her talent is indeed extraordinary. The elder of the medicine sect was most optimistic about Lu Mu Yin among the sword masters in this competition. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks, the first condition for an alchemist was for them to be able to possess the dual elemental energy attributes of fire and wood. The deeper the comprehension of the two attributes, the more conducive to improving the grade of an alchemist. Even a grade 4 alchemist, such as himself, only owned the wood attribute at Great Achievement Realm. If Lu Mu Yin was brought to the medicine sect to train, her future would be boundless. Of course, the other sect elders sitting here all had the same idea in their hearts. They wouldn't miss Chu Han, but they must win Lu Mu Yin. After the competition, Lu Mu Yin and Chu Han didn't leave immediately, but instead quickly recovered from their injuries in cultivation base. Half a day later, the main judge's voice sounded again in the building. After the finals of the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony is over, us organizers will activate the Great Spiritual Gathering Array a quarter of an hour from now to concentrate the surrounding spiritual force in this mountain forest here. You have 10 days to absorb and improve your cultivation base. 10 days later, everyone will return to the building hall on the top of the mountain to gather, and the elders of the 6 major sects will personally select the sword masters who enter their sects. The Continental Tournament for Hegemony has expressly stipulated that the top 10 sword masters in the finals have the right to freely choose among the 6 major sects, so we will pass the information about the 6 major sects to the identity jade tablets of the top 10 people through an array. You will properly decide which sect you want to join in these 10 days. As for the other 90 people, you will wait for the elders of the 6 major sects to allocate your places. As for which sect you go to in the end, it's not up to you to decide. All right, the Great Array is about to activate. You can leave to cultivate deeply in the 10 days. Senior Judge, can I ask a question? Lu Mu Yin said after thinking for a bit. The judge was slightly surprised, but he still liked Lu Mu Yin. So he replied, "Ask, are we going to be sent out of this space after choosing the sect in 10 days? Lu Mu Yin asked, "Yes. After 10 days, the Great Array will teleport all the people gathered in the hall out of this space." Lu Mu Yin furrowed her brows. As expected, then can we leave this mountain in the 10 days? After hearing her question, many people couldn't help but twitch the corners of their lips. Once the Spirit Gathering Array activated, the spiritual force on this mountain would be several times that of the outside. Only fools would leave this mountain to go out. Yes, but you must come back and gather in 10 days. Otherwise, it will automatically be regarded as giving up the opportunity to enter the 6 major sects. I've finished asking my questions. Thank you, Senior, for clarifying my doubts. No problem. You can all leave now. Of course, if you choose to cultivate in this hall, you can also stay. Lu Mu Yin didn't leave immediately. After the previous battle, she already felt that a breakthrough was coming, so she closed her eyes and began to cultivate to break through to peak phase Sword Monarch. Chu Han also didn't consider leaving this place to find somewhere to cultivate, so he also sat cross-legged on another side. Many of the people present had no plans to leave. After all, after the Spirit Gathering Array was activated, their goal was to absorb the spiritual force crazily. There was no need to venture out in danger. A small number of people left the hall for various reasons, but Lu Mu Bai and the others naturally remained. 3 days later, Lu Mu Yin didn't go to the lobby to find Lu Mu Bai and the others, but after telepathically sending word to them, she called Yi Qing Han and left quietly. After another 2 days, two figures emerged outside the forested mountains of the finals and headed towards a deep mountain. Lu Muyin had been thinking about those scarlet bees for a long time. If she was teleported out of this competition space, then she would miss the opportunity. So she couldn't wait as she called Yi Qing Han to go poke the scarlet bees' nest together. Chapter 317. The method of raising Lu Muyin took Yi Qing Han to the place where she provoked the scarlet bees' nest last time. Muyin, do you want to contract those scarlet bees? Yi Qing Han looked at the fist-sized scarlet bees with purely red bodies, and his scalp felt numb. The scarlet bees were social demonic beasts. If they were separated, their combat power wouldn't be strong, but if they were dispatched in groups, even the powerhouses Sword Venerable and above would have a headache. The scarlet bees had several attributes. Their tail, Thorn, wasn't only highly poisonous, but also paralyzing. It was one of the demonic beasts the human sword masters and many other demonic beasts were most reluctant to provoke. He didn't expect Lu Muyin to have ideas for the scarlet bees. At the same time as being helpless, he was filled with pampering. No, I just want to make a contract with the Scarlet Bee Empress. These scarlet bees are all grown up, so they won't live long after contracting. And it's a waste of mental energy to contract so many scarlet bees. Lu Muyin shook her head. Yi Qing Han understood. True, if you can contract the Scarlet Bee Empress, then each time she laid eggs, the scarlet bees would be branded with your mental energy and would obey your commands without needing to contract. However, the Scarlet Bee Empress isn't that easy to contract. The Empress inside has to at least be Tier 7 and maybe even Tier 8. It's different from other ordinary demon cultivators. Although its own combat power is weak, but there are tens of thousands of Scarlet Bee guards. He thought for a bit, then added. Lu Muyin also knew that the Scarlet Bee Empress was difficult to contract, but she had come up with a solution recently. I have a solution, but I need Qing Han to help me. Sure. Yi Qing Han would never refuse any of Lu Muyin's requests, and was very happy that she could ask him for help. Lu Muyin was just about to speak when there were sudden bursts of piercing screams from the bee nest in the distance. That voice was filled with extreme pain and exhaustion, and pressure filled the area. It's the cry of the Scarlet Bee Empress. Yi Qing Han's face sank. Hearing this sound, she's a Tier 8 demonic beast. Do you know why she screamed like this? Lu Muyin looked sideways and asked. She knew the ancient contract skill and knew a lot about demonic beasts, but this was still limited to the immortal cultivation world. There were many demonic beasts on this continent that she had never even heard of before. In the immortal cultivation realm, there were gold-devouring insects, but no scarlet bees. The only reason she knew of scarlet bees was because she had read in the Continental Demonic Beast records in the Academy Library, but the records were only general and not detailed. Compared to Yi Qing Han, who came from a distinguished clan of spirit beast masters, she definitely didn't know as much as he did. She's birthing offspring right now. Yi Qing Han pressed his lips and said she should have reached the end of her lifespan. Birthing offspring? You mean she's giving birth to a new Scarlet Bee Empress? Lu Muyin asked with furrowed brows. Each generation of Scarlet Bee Empress would desperately give birth to a new Scarlet Bee Empress when their lifespan was near its end, and when she was giving birth, the entire hive was at its strongest. Those scarlet bees wouldn't leave the hive no matter what happened. The plan she had prepared before seemed to be in vain. Yes, the center of the hive is filled with scarlet bees from Tier 6 to Tier 7. She's not far from giving birth. The screams just now means that she should have just started giving birth. Yi Qing Han said. Lu Muyin rubbed her chin and sighed. I originally wanted to lure them away from the hive in waves with spiritual herbs that the scarlet bees like, but now it wouldn't seem to work. Her initial plan was to make Bing Ji and Yi Qing Han's Golden Eagle King hold the spiritual herbs to lure the scarlet bees away, and then she and Yi Qing Han would take the opportunity to go in and capture the Scarlet Bee Empress. Now that the end of the Scarlet Bee Empress lifespan was approaching, even if she contracted her now, her lifespan would only be extended for a few months at most, and the contract value had been lost. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Actually, it's not necessarily a bad thing for the Scarlet Bee Empress to die. Yi Qinghan thought a bit. Then a wise smile rose on his handsome face. Lu Muyin blinked and asked, "What do you mean?" The Scarlet Bee Empress is a Tier 8 demonic beast right now, so it wouldn't be easy to contract, and it would also be difficult to raise and nurture. After all, she's already used to being the only one in this space. But now that she's about to give birth, we just need to wait for her to give birth to a new empress, and you can directly contract the newly born Scarlet Bee Empress. Yi Qinghan smiled lightly and said. Lu Muyin smiled helplessly. It's a good plan, but I don't know how to raise a Scarlet Bee Empress. Even if the contract is successful, but it'll be difficult for it to survive. She naturally thought of contracting the new Scarlet Bee Empress before, but scarlet bees were different from other demonic beasts. The newly born Empress was very fragile. If she took it away from the hive without the method of raising it, then 90% of them would die prematurely. I have its raising method here. Yi Qinghan smiled lightly. With a thought, a jade slip fell into his hand. He handed it to Lu Muyin and said, "Muyin, I copied this method of raising from my clan's secret classics. I'll give it to you now." It's copied from your clan's secret classics? Can you give it to me? If it's inconvenient, then you don't need to. It's not like I have to contract a Scarlet Bee Empress. Lu Muyin didn't want Yi Qinghan to be in a difficult position. After all, the precious secret classics of clans weren't allowed to be leaked by clan pupils. Yi Qinghan shoved it into her hands with a smile. No worries. This is what Mother left me. The people in the clan aren't qualified to interfere with me. The Yi clan had regulations that didn't allow the disclosure of the secret classics of how to breed demonic beasts, but this secret classic was left to him by his mother and didn't belong to the Yi clan. It was just that his father had put it into the clan's classics library to encrypt and hide it, but the owner was still him, and his mother once said that if he liked a woman who was also a spirit beast master, then he could copy and gift this secret classic to her. Even if they weren't fated in the end, it could still leave a memory as a souvenir. His mother was a very open-minded and wonderful woman. Lu Muyin saw that although he had a smile on his face, there was a bit of desolation in his eyes. Remembering his experience at home, she couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. Yi Qinghan's mother's background should be extraordinary, otherwise he wouldn't have so many secrets. But also because of this, he must have endured more things than others. Then I won't be polite and ill-accept it. Lu Muyin didn't want to brush off Yi Qinghan's kindness, and she indeed needed such a method of raising. Look at the breeding method of the Scarlet Bee Empress. Let's wait here for her to give birth. Yi Qinghan said. All right. Lu Muyin's mental energy penetrated into the jade slip and looked at it carefully, becoming more and more alarmed. She would furrow her brows at times, while at other times, her eyes would sparkle as if she had comprehended something. This copy of the jade slip contained not only the raising methods of scarlet bees, but also the introduction and raising methods of no less than 100 rare demonic beasts. Its preciousness could only be imagined. After scrutinizing the raising methods of scarlet bees, she just realized that it was indeed fortunate that she had brought Yi Qinghan together. Otherwise, if she raised according to her own feelings, then that new empress might not survive for 10 years in her hands. In such a way, Lu Muyin studied the raising method in the secret classic, while Yi Qinghan cultivated by her side, and 2 days passed quickly. On this day, the sky had only just lit, and the harsh screams in the distant hive gradually stopped. The aura also gradually weakened, indicating that the old generation of the Scarlet Bee Empress was about to pass away. After another half a day, Lu Muyin and Yi Qinghan looked at each other and quietly felt their way towards the hive. Chapter 318. Millennium-old royal jelly. Lu Muyin handed Yi Qinghan a talisman when approaching the hive. This is an invisibility talisman. As long as it's attached to your body, and we don't use elemental energy, we won't be discovered. We'll feel our way to the Scarlet Bee Empress nest in a bit and run away immediately after the contract is completed. This was the talisman that she spent a lot of effort refining before, but she didn't expect to use it. Seeing her sneaky, thief-like appearance, Yi Qinghan said with amusement, "All right." After the two stuck on the talisman, their figures and aura disappeared instantly, and they walked quietly towards the center of the hive. The scarlet bee's hive was very large, more than 5 meters high, and the outside was filled with tier 6 and 7 scarlet bees patrolling back and forth. The scarlet bees were a relatively special type of demonic beast, because it was directly birthed and controlled by the empress of the scarlet bees, so their intelligence wasn't that high, and they couldn't transform into the human form. The Scarlet Red Empress needed to reach Tier 9 to be able to transform into human form, but her intelligence was relatively high. The two entered the central nest, which was filled with royal jelly, and there was a crooked cave in the nest. Going down the cave, the age of the royal jelly continued to grow, and it took about an hour to come to an end. At the end, surrounded by orange-yellow millennium-old royal jelly, Lu Muyan's eyes lit up. This royal jelly was a good thing. It could not only improve one's cultivation base, but also had the effect of maintaining beauty and youthfulness, and was one of the main ingredients for refining the beauty-enhancing pill and the beauty-preserving pill. Qinghan, with this millennium-old royal jelly, we can refine the beauty-preserving pill that helps one maintain youth and immortal beauty. It'll give you a few by then, and your appearance will last forever. Lu Muyan said excitedly to Yi Qinghan telepathically. All women loved beauty. Even Lu Muyan was no exception. In her previous life, she took a beauty-preserving pill to stay young forever. In this life, she naturally wouldn't let herself become a gray-haired, wrinkled old woman. Yi Qinghan had a smile on his lips. There's such pills? If Lu Muyan refined this kind of pill, then those female sword cultivators would probably all go crazy. Lu Muyan raised her chin and said with slight tsundere, "Of course. And only I know about the pill formula." The beauty-enhancing pill could beautify one's appearance, and one's face would appear younger and younger, but it was only useful if one took it long-term. On the other hand, the beauty-preserving pill could keep one's youthful appearance forever, but the main ingredients for refining this pill required several rare spiritual herbs, and she didn't have it all. When she accidentally broke into this scarlet bee's hive before, she already had the idea to take the royal jelly, and when she refined the beauty-enhancing pill and sold it, she would not only make huge money, but it was also a long-term business. There was no figure of the Scarlet Bee Empress here. Lu Muyan used her mental energy to sweep around constantly, then finally discovered that there was a faint aura coming from a piece of royal jelly. She walked over quickly and entered the royal jelly with Yi Qinghan. Sure enough, there was a door made of honeycombs behind the royal jelly. Pushing through the door and into it was a small space. The light in the space was very good, and there were several corpses of the Scarlet Bee Empress within. The newest one's life force dissipated just before they entered, and the corpse was relatively large. Beside her was a crystal clear and transparent honey-yellow bee pupa with a strong, beating aura of life. "Muyan, quickly go make a contract," Yi Qinghan said. Lu Muyan took off her invisibility talisman and walked cautiously in front of the bee pupa. After finding that there weren't any strange changes, she quickly dropped a drop of blood essence onto the pupa. Then she chanted a difficult incantation silently as she constantly formed seals. Circles of jade-colored light covers enveloped her and the bee pupa. After an hour, the jade-colored light cover lit up and turned into 2 streams of light that entered into Lu Muyan and the bee pupa's bodies respectfully. Lu Muyan wiped the fine sweat on her forehead. Although this new Scarlet Bee Empress was just birthed, but its mental energy was exceptionally strong. If it weren't for her mental energy being even stronger than that of the bee pupa, then she would have been backlashed. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Muyan, how is it? Yi Qinghan asked with concern. Lu Muyan smiled lightly and said, "This bee pupa's mental energy is so strong that I almost failed." "Even you almost failed with your mental energy?" Yi Qinghan said in surprise. No wonder we've never heard of someone contracting the Scarlet Bee Empress. So, it's because their mental energy is too strong and can't be contracted. Lu Muyan's mental energy was several times, or even more than 10 times his, yet she almost failed. Then it really was that few people could contract this kind of demonic beast. He used to wonder why those high-level spirit beast masters didn't contract social demonic beasts like the Scarlet Bees. Once successfully contracting such demonic beasts, then they would definitely be exceptionally powerful. So it seemed that it was because they were too difficult to contract. Scarlet Bee swarms weren't only difficult to find, but also required the spirit beast master to have stronger mental energy than the Scarlet Bee Empress. It truly was difficult to meet those two conditions. Yeah, fortunately we're lucky. If I contracted the old Scarlet Bee Empress of Tier 8, then I might failed. Maybe I'd even be backlashed at the same time as failing. Lu Muyin sighed with lingering fear. Her mental energy was indeed very strong, but her cultivation base held her back. If she encountered that Tier 8 Scarlet Bee Empress, unless she asked Mo Yin to help suppress her, otherwise her chances of successfully contracting her would be only half. Not good. There's a riot happening among the Scarlet Bees outside. Lu Muyan's expression suddenly changed, and she quickly put away the contracted Scarlet Bee Empress and the corpses. Then she took out her long sword and channeled elemental energy into it, and slashed it towards the edge of the nest. The royal jelly flowed out in an instant. With a thought, she put all the royal jelly into her interspatial ring. The interspatial ring, refined by Great Master Wu, was very large, and had a special independent space, perfect to hold these millennium-old royal jelly. After these were done, the two heard the harsh buzz-buzz sounds enter their ears. After the death of the old Scarlet Bee Empress, the Scarlet Bee swarms waiting outside only had a lifespan of at most 10 years. Their mission was to protect the new Empress Bee to be born from her pupa and to breed new Scarlet Bees. And the reason why Lu Muyin and Yi Qinghan were able to succeed so quickly was thanks to the hierarchy of the Scarlet Bees. The Empress nest wasn't allowed to be entered by other Scarlet Bees. However, she contracted the new Bee Empress, so the Scarlet Bees who were waiting outside suddenly had their connection cut off with it, and so the crazy riot broke out. Escape! Lu Muyin grabbed Yi Qinghan's hand and rushed toward the outside of the cave, using her flash steps. It wasn't that the invisibility talisman couldn't be used, but once that talisman received attacks, they would reveal their true form, and their speed would be even slower. Tens of thousands of Scarlet Bees rushing in would inevitably dispel the stealth effect, and they would be in trouble. Yi Qinghan held Lu Muyan's hand tightly, and a layer of cyan light circled out of his body to wrap around the two of them. He quickly escaped at her pace. As soon as the Scarlet Bees rushed in, they found the two of them and bared their fangs, fiercely spewing a variety of colors of poisons, flames, and icicles to attack them. Lu Muyin flipped her hand, and an orange flame jumped out and burned a lot of Scarlet Bees to death. Yi Qinghan constantly slammed his palm wind towards them. His palm wind carried a special kind of elemental energy, making the crazy Scarlet Bees not dare to approach. In the end, the two of them just managed to find a way out from the swarm of tens of thousands of bees. Running all the way, both of them were injured. The two of them continued to condense and support the cyan light and orange light cover, but they couldn't stand the deadly attack of the Scarlet Bee swarm. The Scarlet Bees were like moths to a flame. Even if they died, they wanted to drag them back. In the end, the two had to try their best to escape the Scarlet Bee's nest. The moment Lu Muyin exited, she had Bingji return to his original form and escape quickly. But the Scarlet Bees behind followed closely, and if anyone was present, they would definitely be shocked. One would see a huge ice luan flying towards the outside of the mountain as a beam of light, chased by swarms of Scarlet Bees behind. However spectacular and magnificent one pictured this scene, it would be so. Lu Muyin and Yi Qinghan sat on Bing Ji, and kept changing directions as they flew, followed by a large swarm of scarlet bees. We've been outside wandering for more than 2 days. If we don't go back now, we won't be able to catch up with the selection of our sex. Lu Mu Yin turned to look at the dark mass of scarlet bees and held her forehead wordlessly. Yi Qing Han was also quite helpless. He didn't expect that the scarlet bees would chase after them so stubbornly that they couldn't even escape them after 2 days. How about we go back to the top of the mountain? As soon as the spirit gathering array activates, the great array around the building will also open, and demonic beast tier 9 and below can't get in at all. There are too many scarlet bees, and they couldn't kill them all at all. Besides, there are thousands of tier 7s. If they didn't want to die, then they really couldn't fight them head-on. And as long as they were still in this space, these scarlet bees wouldn't give up. After all, they had taken their new empress away. All right, that's all that's left to do. Lu Mu Yin nodded in agreement and let Bing Ji fly towards the last gathering place. Half a day later, everyone except Yi Qing Han and Lu Mu Yin gathered in an open space outside the building. Lu Mu Bai and the others' expressions were a little anxious, worried that something had happened to the two of them. Luo Li and the others were also filled with worry. He asked Lu Mu Bai and the others, "Where did Lu Mu Yin go? Why hasn't she come back yet?" "Don't know. She only said she would go out for a few days." Lu Mu Bai sighed, then said firmly, "Yinner will definitely be back." The end was getting closer and closer. When the elders of the 6 major sects appeared, the hearts of Lu Mu Bai and the others sank. When the elders of the 6 major sects arrived at the open space, they immediately found that Lu Mu Yin was gone. Just when the strong and sturdy elderly man of the 8 Extremes sect wanted to ask, suddenly, a cyan blue light rushed over from the distant horizon, and 2 figures in exceptionally sorry states leapt off from the cyan lawn. Everyone looked at the 2 people whose clothes and hair were a little messy. Before they could speak, there was a sudden burst of harsh, buzz sounds from the sky, from far to near. Immediately, an overwhelming black shadow shrouded the sky outside the array. "What's this?" someone exclaimed. "Heavens, why are there so many scarlet bees?" One of them recognized the swarm of demonic beasts. When many people heard the word scarlet bees, their expressions changed greatly, and their scalps became numb. They all took out their magic tools, prepared to escape. However, as soon as the swarm of scarlet bees approached the building, a distant white light cover immediately appeared from the ground and covered the surroundings. The swarms of scarlet bees slammed against the light cover shield one after another, but couldn't take a step further. Many scarlet bees were even killed by the power activated by the Great Array as soon as they touched the white light circle. Some scarlet bees continuously rushed towards the Great Array without fear of death, then was finally swept away by a white projection force from the array, finally annihilated in this space. Seeing this, the scarlet bees behind didn't dare to rush forward and could only glare at Lu Mu Yin and Yi Qing Han with barred fangs. The people present were all relieved when they saw this, then turned their attention to Lu Mu Yin and Yi Qing Han. Lu Mu Yin, this woman, sure could cause so much trouble. It's only been a few days, and she already attracted such a large swarm of scarlet bees. Didn't she want her life anymore? Lu Mu Yin, even if you don't want to live, don't harm us too. A sword master who usually didn't like her said with an unpleasant expression. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yin shrugged roguishly and said, I was going to come back to participate in the final selection, but they just wanted to follow me. I can't help it. She and Yi Qing Han dared to lead them here because they knew of the existence of the Great Array. Otherwise, even if they gave up the selection, they wouldn't bring the scarlet bees here to harm the others. They weren't so cold-blooded. You're distorting my words in reason. The man shuddered when he saw her eyes growing colder, then snorted and turned his head away, saying no more. Lu Mu Yin won the championship in the Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony. In the future, regardless of which sect she entered, she would definitely be the target of their training, plus her strength was indeed really strong, so it was best not to provoke her. After all, although she attracted the scarlet bees, but they were blocked outside by the organizers' great array, and they weren't in any danger. Seeing that many people didn't say anything, but their expressions weren't that good, after thinking about it, Lu Muyin took out a bucket of century-old royal jelly, blinked, and said innocently, "We were only thinking about how everyone participated in this competition together, but now we would separate, so I should send some gifts. I went to dig the scarlet bee's hive and get some royal jelly for you all as a souvenir." Seeing her innocent expression and hearing her words, everyone couldn't help but twitch the corners of their lips. Whoever believed in her words was being preposterous. However, hearing her say that the people present wasn't bothered with holding a grudge anymore. Most importantly, scarlet bee royal jelly was something good. Regular drinking could prolong one's life and improve cultivation base and beauty. The scarlet bees had the innate talent to hide its aura, and it was difficult even for a sword-venerable powerhouse to find them. Last time, Lu Muyin chased a demonic beast and accidentally entered there, then made a mark. Otherwise, it would be difficult to find the scarlet bee's lair again if she tried to look for it on purpose. Haha, little Lu girl sure is generous. This century-old scarlet bee royal jelly is a good thing. The elder of the 8 extremes sect happily walked to Lu Muyin and looked down at the royal jelly in the bucket, smacking his lips. He loved delicious spiritual items the most, and this royal jelly was one of them. If he could get some to give to a spiritual wine master to brew in a honey wine, then its taste could make one drool 3 inches. Honey wine also had the effects of expanding blood vessels, strengthening the body, and prolonging life. Lu Muyin saw that the red-haired, elderly man's nose was about to touch the bucket, and the corner of her lips twitched. But she felt a little more favorable towards his straightforward appearance. The other elders of the 6 major sects also revealed surprise and enthusiasm in their eyes when they saw the royal jelly. "How should I address this senior?" Due to politeness, Lu Muyin asked with a smile. The elder of the 8 extremes sect raised his head reluctantly. His old face smiled into a chrysanthemum. This old man is the elder of the 8 extremes sect, Ao Rome. "Why, does little Lu girl want to give me some royal jelly as a souvenir?" The other elders of the 6 major sects couldn't help but twitch the corners of their lips. Ao Rome, this thing sure was so shameless and skinless. To think he wasn't embarrassed to ask for something from a junior, Lu Muyin smiled sincerely. "Sure. Everyone who sees has a share. Not only senior, but also the seniors from other sects. It can also be regarded as a meeting gift from this junior towards seniors." Her subtext actually meant, "I've already given you a meeting gift. Would you be shameless enough not to return the gift?" Since she took out a bucket of royal jelly to share with everyone, she naturally wouldn't ignore the elders of the 6 major sects. Lu Muyin robbed the entire hive of royal jelly. This century-old royal jelly was actually what she casually swept up on the way out of the cave, and she had hundreds of barrels of it in her space. She also had hundreds of barrels of centuries-old and even millennium-old royal jelly, so it was really trivial to take out a barrel to dispel everyone's grievances and win people's hearts. Seeing Lu Muyin's generosity, other people felt their flesh hurt. Didn't she know the value of century-old royal jelly? It would take at least tens of thousands of spiritual stones to buy a barrel like this, was often priceless on the market, and was most popular among female swordmasters. Her rich local tyrant appearance that looked like she was saying Laonyang had money really looked like she deserved a beating. Chapter 320. Make up random excuses. The other elders of the 6 major sects naturally felt comfortable when they heard Lu Muyin say this. They were also very interested in the century-old royal jelly, but they couldn't be as shameless and skinless as Ao Rome to take the initiative to ask for it. "Little Lu girl is so generous. This old man likes a junior like you." Ao Rome stroked his beard and smiled. He felt that Lu Muyin was more and more pleasing to the eye now. Before, it was mainly because of her talent, but now it was because her temperament suited his appetite. Such a good seedling must be dug into the 8 extremes sect. "Thank you for your love, senior." Lu Muyin smiled humbly. Buzz buzz. A harsh scream came, and the scarlet bees chasing Lu Mu Yin flew wave after wave towards them from the distance, a huge dark mass. Under the control of the several Tier 7 scarlet bees, the Tier 6 scarlet bees desperately clashed against the white light cover. One wave was killed by the array, but another wave would rush up again, unafraid of death. And all the scarlet bees were glaring fiercely at Lu Mu Yin and Yi Qing Han, baring their fangs. They had clearly recognized their appearance and aura. Lu Mu Yin and Yi Qing Han glanced at each other and discovered the speechlessness in each other's eyes. These scarlet bees really didn't give up. The scarlet bees rushed against the array desperately, clashing again even after a wave died, and after clashing those would die too. The people present weren't fools, so they naturally wouldn't believe Lu Mu Yan's excuse, nor would they believe that she only had such an amount of century-old royal jelly. Lu Mu Yan, just what did you do to these scarlet bees? Why do they look at you and Yi Qing Han as if they're trying to kill the people that killed their family? Some people guess that Lu Mu Yin and Yi Qing Han definitely must have gotten something good in the scarlet bee's nest. Otherwise, they wouldn't be hunted down by the scarlet bee swarm. Lu Mu Yin then revealed an innocent expression. Qing Han and I discovered the scarlet bee nest accidentally. Then we thought about obtaining some royal jelly back, but who knew that we only got 2 barrels before being discovered by the scarlet bee empress. She screamed and called for her companions relentlessly. We could only take action, then cut off one of her wings, so we completely caused trouble and were chased by these scarlet bees for several days. Then, she took out the bee empress wing that she had dismembered long ago from her interspatial ring. And as if to confirm what she said, those scarlet bees went crazy when they saw the translucent wing, and all of them glared with their crimson eyes, rushing against the array regardless of their deaths, as if to snatch the wing back. After listening to Lu Mu Yan's explanation, and when they saw the severed wing, everyone was in a complete mess. Just what kind of guts did she grow? She actually dared to take Yi Qing Han to poke a scarlet bee's nest. Not only that, but also cut off the wing of the scarlet bee empress. It would be utterly weird if those scarlet bees didn't fight you. Everyone agreed inwardly that it was Lu Mu Yin who encouraged Yi Qing Han to go. Only this crazy woman would do such a crazy act. A stable person like Yi Qing Han was definitely dragged there. Well, one must say, these people saw the truth. Cough, cough. A.O. Roan glanced at the wing on the ground, then looked up at the scarlet bees who were madly beating outside the array, and he couldn't help twitching the corners of his lips. Even he didn't dare go provoke the scarlet bees. Lu Mu Yin, this girl, sure was too courageous. Anyone who knew anything about the scarlet bees knew that the most important thing on the scarlet bee empress wasn't her gestational sac, but her wings. Her wings could naturally absorb the spiritual force of heaven and earth and convert it into something that could help her fertility. Only after the scarlet bee empress absorbed it could she continuously breed scarlet bee colonies. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Lu Mu Yin chopped off one of the wings that they depended on for survival and even ran away with it. It was no wonder that the scarlet bee empress went crazy. It was only excusable for her ordering the swarm to hunt down and attack Lu Mu Yin and Yi Qing Han. Little Lu girl, how did you cut off the wing of the scarlet bee empress? The elder of the spirit tamers sect thought very highly of the both of them and asked with a gentle tone, how could the 2 of them, who only had sword sovereign strength, have penetrated into the scarlet bee hive? This was the question in everyone's heart. Lu Mu Yin blinked, took out a used invisibility talisman, and said, Qing Han has this thing, so we dare to sneak all the way in to get the royal jelly. Who knew that we were then stared at by a pair of big eyes, after only 2 barrels were filled. After hearing her screech, we didn't think much at the time, and I just used our strongest sword skill to attack it. Before it could resist, I cut off the scarlet bee empress wing. Then we ran away with this wing. After finishing, she sighed regretfully. It's a pity that I only got 2 barrels of royal jelly. She naturally wouldn't expose the contract with a new empress, let alone make them suspect that she got something good. Therefore, before deciding to lead the scarlet bees back to the top of the mountain, she had thought out a countermeasure and excuse, and wouldn't worry that they wouldn't believe it. Those scarlet bees looked at her and Yi Qing Han, as if they had a feud large enough to destroy one's family. If it were only for 2 barrels of royal jelly, it was impossible. So with her telling them this, they would at least be half-believing. Her current cultivation base wasn't high, and the principle of not revealing her wealth worked everywhere. If the Spirit Tamer sect knew that she had the bee pupa of the Scarlet Bee Empress on her, then they would probably use any means to snatch it away. Seeing the bit of annoyance on her stunning little face, not at all worried about the Scarlet Bees, but instead looking as if she had suffered a loss to only obtain 2 barrels of royal jelly, everyone present rolled their eyes inwardly. You already obtained 2 barrels, what more do you want? And one of the most important wings of the Empress was cut off by you too. This was a priceless treasure. The Scarlet Bee Empress wings were one of the peak quality materials for refining magic tools. Wasn't she going to make a fortune? And yet she was still unsatisfied. How should people who are feeling jealousy, envy, and hatred feel? There was an arc on Yi Qing Han's lips. Lu Muyin sure could make up stories so well. He didn't dislike such a personality, and on the contrary, such an appearance made him feel that she was very cute. He was from a distinguished clan in the eastern region, so it was reasonable to say that he had 1 or 2 invisibility talismans on him. After all, their Yi clan also had a solid foundation. However, if the invisibility talisman was made known to others that Lu Muyin made it, then it would be difficult to explain. The Lu clan definitely wouldn't be able to afford such a talisman. Lu Muyin didn't want to reveal that she knew how to refine talismans. Although the Scarlet Bee swarm is strong, but the Scarlet Bee Empress is very fragile. It's normal for you to successfully attack her and cut off one of her wings. Ao Rong then looked at the 2 of them disapprovingly and said, "But your approach is too risky. It isn't impossible to be buried in the hive in order to just get some royal jelly. In the future, you should focus on protecting your life and safety." "Thank you for your teachings, Senior," the 2 of them said simultaneously. Although Ao Rong's words were reprimanding, but they were also for their own good, and neither of them would quarrel with him. It was rare for the other elders to agree with Ao Rong's words unanimously. If the 2 of them died just because of some rare royal jelly, then it would be a loss for their 6 major sects. After all, both of them were in the top 10. After hearing Lu Muyin's explanation, seeing the wings she took out, and the madness of the Scarlet Bees, everyone present believed her words and no longer doubted that she obtained some kind of treasure, hence being chased by the Scarlet Bees. Chapter 321. Qixio is Mingxiu. The Scarlet Bees were social animals and didn't like to go out. They would build their nests in a fixed location and didn't like to collect treasures either. Their only hobby was collecting pollen to make honey. Lu Muyin and the 2 ran wildly with the wing of the Scarlet Bee Empress, so the Scarlet Bees naturally chased them to get the wing back. After all, the Scarlet Bee Empress wings could be refused even if they were broken. As long as they snatched the broken wing back, the Empress could still recover it in a short while. The doubts in everyone's hearts were mostly resolved, and there was an inexplicable feeling for the 2 of them who took such a risk to get royal jelly. Not only admiration for their courage, but they also felt that the behavior of the 2 was too impulsive, too reckless, and too crazy. It's almost time. The sect selection ceremony will take place in an hour. The wise, white-haired, elderly man from the Heavenly Secret Palace gave Lu Muyin a meaningful look, then immediately retracted his eyes and spoke lightly. Everything Lu Muyin explained was reasonable, but he just felt that things weren't that simple. At least, from the perspective of Lu Muyin's temperament, she didn't look like someone who would risk death for a few barrels of royal jelly. But this was just a feeling. He quickly tossed it away. Even if Lu Muyin and Yi Qing Han obtained a fortuitous encounter in the hive, there was no way to know now. With a change of mind, he thought that if Lu Muyin entered the Heavenly Secret Palace, he would be able to check it thoroughly. Yes, after hearing the words of the most authoritative elder, all the sword masters who participated in the competition replied respectfully. Lu Muyin also took advantage of this free time to gift out royal jelly, with Yi Qing Han 1 bottle per person. Of course, for people who they had a good relationship with, she directly stuffed 2 or 3 bottles. Although others envied them, but they didn't say much. After all, it wasn't bad that they could obtain the royal jelly that Lu Mu Yin and Yi Qing Han risked their lives to snatch. They remembered Lu Mu Yan's generosity in their hearts, and their goodwill towards them increased a lot. An hour later, the royal jelly was also divided. Everyone stood together and waited for the last part of the competition, the sex selection. Seeing the 100 sword masters who participated in the competition standing in orderly and quiet rows, waiting, the elders of the heavenly secret palace revealed some satisfaction on their faces. Generally speaking, the sword masters of this session were better than the previous 2 sessions in terms of talent and strength. This old man is the elder of the heavenly secret palace. You all already know the rules for the selection of sex. Now, we won't waste any more time. The representatives of the inner core pupils of each sect will announce the belonging of the 11th to the 100th place. After he finished speaking, 6 people came out of the building behind him, all holding a scroll. The man in the lead was dressed in white, handsome in appearance, tall in figure, and had a noble, fallen immortal temperament that lingered around him, giving people a feeling of inviolability and one in comparison to everyone else. When Lu Mu Yin saw the man in white that was so handsome he was not like a mortal, her beautiful pupils constricted, but there was nothing strange on her expression, as if he had felt her response. The man's gaze moved to Lu Mu Yin with a faint smile in his eyes. Then he walked over to the elder of the heavenly secret palace without being distracted. The other 5 also walked to the elders of the 5 sects. Qi Xiu announced the list of my heavenly secret palace's new pupils. The elder of the heavenly secret palace revealed a rare kindness and amicability in his gaze, and at first glance, one could see that he liked the white-clothed man very much. Qi Xiu nodded with a smile, and his long and slender fingers opened the scroll. His voice was as fine and pleasant as a clear spring, and he read the names of the sword masters below one by one. Many female sword masters all had their gaze cast on him, sticking tightly. This was the most handsome man with the best temperament they had ever seen in their lives. After Qi Xiu finished reading, the representative pupils of the other sects also opened their scrolls and read their names, but not many people paid attention. All the glory seemed to bloom only for Qi Xiu. Lu Mu Yin rolled her eyes inwardly. Ming Xiu, this guy, sure could pretend to be a fallen immortal very well. If it weren't for her incomparable familiarity with his aura, she would even have thought that the white-clothed man standing in front of her was his elder twin brother. Woman, have you chosen a sect? The magnetic and clear, sexy voice entered Lu Mu Yan's sea of consciousness, which made her heart tingle. She couldn't resist nice and sexy voices the most. This guy's voice was even better than Luo Yes. Come and read on our website, Wuxiao World site. Thanks, I've chosen. Lu Mu Yin said without a good attitude. This guy left in a hurry after saving her last time, who knew that when she saw him again, his identity had turned into that of an inner core pupil of the heavenly secret palace. This made her feel like she had never seen him clearly. The mental energy of the two was above everyone here, so their telepathy wasn't discovered, not even by the elders of the 6 major sects. The smile in Ming Xiu's eyes was even stronger. This little woman's small temper was also a manifestation of her concern and interest for him. Which sect did you choose? Take a guess. You think it'll choose the heavenly secret palace. Lu Mu Yin thought of something, then blinked her eyes as she telepathically said. The corners of Ming Xiu's lips lifted slightly. The heavenly secret palace isn't suitable for you. Lu Mu Yin was surprised. She just felt that there was no need for Ming Xiu to join the heavenly secret palace because of his status in the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. When he appeared as Monarch Ming, he wore a mask, so he probably entered the heavenly secret palace with some sort of purpose. Or was he a spy sent by the heavenly secret palace to the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance? The first option was more likely. After pondering for a bit, she said, I choose the 8 Extremes sect. Ming Xiu's dark eyes, as deep as the sea, constricted slightly, then sighed. Still couldn't escape it? He guessed that Lu Muyin might choose the sword sect or the medicine sect, but he didn't expect that she would choose the 8 Extremes sect, which was currently at the bottom of the 6 major sects. Although her choice was consistent with what he expected, but he was also afraid that she would be in danger in the end. After a while, there was a certain determination in his eyes. Lu Muyin would be the woman who would stand side by side with him above the clouds to watch the scenery together in the future. His woman wouldn't be the daughter flower that could only survive by entangling itself around vines. She needed to go through the baptism of wind and rain to bloom her most beautiful youthfulness. Although the 8 Extremes sect is at the bottom of the 6 major sects, but it's not that simple. Have you thought carefully about it? Lu Muyin nodded. I'm certain. I choose the 8 Extremes sect. She chose the 8 Extremes sect because the sect was famous for its arrays, smithing, and talismans. She was very talented in arrays and also knew a lot of arrays, but she was also thirsty for knowledge of the arrays on this continent, and the 8 Extremes sect that had the strongest foundation in arrays was most suitable for her. In addition, when she first arrived at the top of the mountain, the man who had been silently cultivating in her pendant suddenly spoke up and asked her to choose the 8 Extremes sect. It was said that the forbidden area of the sect hid something useful for his recovery. Although a devil cultivator's words couldn't be trusted, but since it was consistent with her choice, then she naturally wouldn't object. Woman, I'll tell you a secret when we meet again next time. It was currently not appropriate to telepathically say such important things. All right. Although Lu Muyin couldn't see through Ming Xiu clearly right now, but she had an indescribable sense of trust in him, and she knew that he wouldn't harm her. She would one day learn about his past, present, and future. We'll meet again very soon. Ming Xiu said. How will we meet when we're in different sects in the future? Lu Muyin asked in confusion. Most importantly, Ming Xiu was an inner core pupil of the Heavenly Secret Palace, and her entering the 8 Extremes sect only meant that she was an outer core pupil. How much overlap would there be between them? The land of inheritance is about to open. I believe that it's very easy for you to win a spot with your ability. Ming Xiu's voice carried a smile. Lu Muyin rolled her eyes. You sure think highly of me. So the two of them tacitly agreed that they would meet in the land of inheritance next time, or they may even meet again sooner. One decided to go with Devil Cultivator instead of Mystic Cultivator for the translation of Immerse, because Devil seems more accurate. We'll be going back to edit the terminology before. When I have time XD, I did use Devil Cultivator for the term, Xiexio, but the author has never mentioned that again after introducing, so I'm guessing the author could have just stuck with, instead of, whatever, if ever pops up again, I'll think of another term. XD, sorry for the many changes. And I know I haven't gone back to edit a lot of the terminology I said I will, so there may still be inconsistencies, but just haven't been bothered, ha 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 ha. Anyways, may have a burst of chapters coming soon, since I'm very ahead in translation XD. I just need the motivation to edit, then proofread them bunch at a time, ha ha. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.